Listen carefully. Everyone makes mistakes. But if you recorded a podcast, you have to make an atonement for that podcast. Atonement. Do you know what that means? Big atonement for big podcasts. Small atonement for small podcasts.
That's great.
I think it is true.
I made a 4-course meal out of that one. Not a 5-course, but a 4-course.
Is that including a dessert or no?
Yes, right?
A amuse-bouche.
Yeah.
Into
the app.
Salad or a pasta course?
Killer app. Yeah. Entree.
And then dessert.
Or is it a meal and a bunch of side dishes as per Korean tables, usually?
Just 4 sampler platters coming out at different times? Is that really... So wait, how does that explain this? The Korean dinner tradition?
Well, this isn't like super traditional, but a general Korean dinner table, you'll have your rice. There'll be a couple of big dishes, like maybe fish or something like that. But the big thing, it's like whenever you go to Korean barbecue, where there's a bunch of little plates out on the table. Like, that's the deal. You have a bunch of little plates that you can eat with the main course and with your rice.
It's a good way to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, maybe this is crazy, but I went to a restaurant the other night, and I had never been there before. And the server came up to me, and he said, "Have you been here before?" And I said, "No, in fact, you've caught me. I haven't." And he went, "We do things a little differently here."
Okay.
And I just, my blood ran cold. And I said, "What do you mean?" And he explained to me the concept of family style, this radical thing no restaurant has ever tried before.
I feel like especially in New York, that's like pretty common.
I flipped over the table and I walked out of the restaurant. I said,
I can't. A little differently.
You're not teaching this whole dog new tricks. I don't know what you're talking about.
What happens if you go to a family style place by yourself?
Well, that was the problem.
Just solo.
That was the problem.
Well, I've been to places where it is like one big table. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, I do. Yes.
I don't that's not my preferred style of dining, but
no, I would really need to be in a specific mood to want to just kind of throw down with everybody.
Also, like not during a pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
No.
Yeah.
No, this server, I was eating alone, and he threw out this family style thing.
So he was shaming you.
He was shaming me.
For coming alone.
I said, I just got him off my fucking back, and now you're making me feel bad for not having a family dinner. I don't know what this story is. Listen, this is a podcast.
Whoa.
A big atonement for a big podcast. A big episode. A big miniseries.
We do things a little differently on this podcast.
Differently on this podcast.
We don't really. It's conversational. It's pretty normal.
Tell that to certain iTunes critics.
Oh, sure.
I don't understand this way they do this. Why aren't they talking about... Yes. At minute 1 of the episode should start with minute 1 of the movie.
Really? So they want a commentary.
Well, yeah, then guess what? You try the Patreon.
Yeah.
It's Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
Hi, David.
It's a podcast about filmographies and family-style restaurants.
Yeah.
Directors who experienced massive success early on in their career and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want, and sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce. Baby! This is a mini-series on the films of Park Chan-Wook. It is called I'm a Podcast, But That's Okay. Today we're talking Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Or just Lady Vengeance, right?
It was called Sympathy for Lady Vengeance in some countries, but mostly it was just called Lady Vengeance.
But I feel like I've only
the Korean
always
title
heard...
means something else.
Yeah, it does. I feel like I've only always heard Sympathy for Lady Vengeance until like recently when I've been Googling, and it was like, it was only released as Lady Vengeance in X countries. And I'm like, really?
Australia and Russia. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it, though. I like it when your movie has a bunch of names.
Yeah?
I think that's mysterious and cool.
It's mysterious. Okay, that's fair.
We talked about this in the Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance episode, that title was an American creation, but was it riffing off the already established Sympathy for Lady Vengeance in certain countries? Because that was Vengeance is Mine in Korea.
Vengeance is Mine, right. And this one is just her name, right? Right, Karen? It's like kind-hearted Gumja or
친절한 금자씨. It's like what they refer to as like kind-hearted, 금자.
Is kind-hearted like, does that word cut in a couple directions or something? Like, is that sort of a literal translation.
It
Just
is
like,
pretty
oh,
literal.
She's kind-hearted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very literal.
Except, of course, she's not really.
They should have called it a Lady Kindheart. David's giving a very suspicious look.
I look very stupid.
You
It
look
is funny
very
that they-
stupid? What are you
I look
saying?
like a big potato.
You just
I
got a
will say that
haircut.
moment
Ben
we were
agrees.
doing
He laughed.
A
Ben
bit of a
agrees.
Tim Robinson bit there.
Yeah, I've got a Tim Robinson. My hair is short, and
Yeah.
the zoom background, I just kind of look like,
getting
I don't
worked
know.
out.
All right, David, really quick. Can you just go, I didn't do fucking shit.
I didn't do fucking shit.
Oh my God.
He's
wait.
so funny. Don't ask about the tables.
And the first thing I think is I'm excited I don't have to go to work.
Just for 50 seconds, I thought there was monsters on the world.
You know, tables. I should be doing new season. Fran Hoffner.
Blockbuster
We
fan
got in a
Hoffman.
big discussion. She doesn't like the Will Forte sketch where he's under the car.
It's good.
And
it's
I was
a good
like,
sketch.
that shit is so good. He's got the cigars on his phone, the screenshots
Wait,
of
Ben
cigars.
hasn't seen it. Ben hasn't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got to get
I mean,
caught up.
It's hard to spoil a Tim Robinson sketch. I
Yeah.
get like it's really about the vibe. But yes, I'm sorry. I will say no more.
What were we talking about?
Sympathy for Lady Vengeance
Kind-hearted.
/ Lady Vengeance.
Oh, what I was gonna say, it's so funny that they try to like theme the English titles when in Korean they're totally unrelated. And then you have Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, and then you just have Old Boy,
Old
where
Boy.
it's like you
Old
didn't
Boy.
even take this naming
No.
convention all the way. Why bother?
Sympathy for Mr. Old Boy.
Yeah.
I don't know how much sympathy that movie has for him.
Yeah, that's well, you know, he
Yeah.
has a tough run of things.
He
in-
does.
in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All those dumplings.
People make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. There's no
Do
such
you
thing as a
think-
perfect person.
Do you think all the movies should be called that? They should just be called People Make Mistakes 1, 2, and 3. Like that would be a fine title for each of these movies.
If I had to say what the overriding thematic concern is of this Ursat's trilogy, I would say it's Pobody's Nerfict. I would
Yeah.
say that's
That's definitely
err is
exactly what he
human.
was thinking.
Pobody's Nerfict.
Do you think he's familiar with that phrase?
Absolutely. I think he has it stitched inside of all of his clothing. Like never cursed. It's in the lining of every piece of clothing Director Park has.
Yeah.
Our
Do you
guest
know
today. What, David? I was trying to introduce our guest. What?
You should introduce our guest, and I'm going to tell you where No Pobody's Nerfict originated.
Oh shit.
Wait, now I want to hear this quick. I can't wait for that. Tell me
Okay.
quickly.
Mad Magazine.
Really?
Huh.
Those geniuses. They
Good
came
for
up
them.
with it.
What was there a specific piece that was the origin?
They started using it in the 70s. You know, it just took a crack team of writers to sit down and realize if you swap those letters, you know, there's an irony there.
Wow. But they must have not trademarked it, right?
I
guess
yeah,
not.
I don't
It is
know.
everywhere.
Probably not.
Okay. Well, it's been said that Pobody's Nerfict, but we have a perfect guest today.
Wow.
Return to the show. Author of Bong Joon-ho Dissident Cinema, a book about the runner-up to this year's March Madness competition. The great Heron Han back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to talk about this movie. It is my favorite of his.
It's your favorite
Park
of his?
Chan-wook's, I should say.
Yes.
You took it right away. I was like, what do you want?
I think you knew. I think that's what you texted. You texted me after I told you. You're like, yeah, I knew you'd pick this one.
Yeah. I feel we talked about it before.
Yeah.
What you consider his S tier, I think.
Yeah.
And this is right there.
Karen, as someone who's literally written the book, read a book on Bong Joon-ho, a man who came one vote away from being covered in this slot.
Stunning.
Yes. Did you have picked out which one you would have wanted to do had he won?
No, much harder choice than this choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like with Park Chan-wook, I have a lot more ups and downs in terms of what I like and what I like more than other ones. Whereas with Bong Joon-ho, it's pretty across the board tens for me, across the board S tier.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I dislike any of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a trio. Moon is the sun's dream. Really? Well, I haven't seen the first film.
The first one's just okay. You kind of defend it.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, I think it's really good. But like in his oeuvre, where it definitely is more just okay than the rest of them.
Yeah,
But like upon rewatch, I was like, yeah, this is like really funny. I like it.
yeah, I'm just like, yeah, you're right. It's just kind of wall-to-wall bangers. What, David?
I think you would want to do the host, Karen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when Karen and I had a conversation
Congrats.
for the launch of her book. We've had many conversations.
At Town Hall, yes.
Yes.
At Town Hall. And we watched clips from Memories of Murder and The Host. And what was the last one, Karen?
We did
Parasite.
Yeah.
Right. That one. Famous movie.
Best picture one.
But I feel like we had the most fun talking about The Host. And I think about that clip all the time. I think about that scene all the time.
It's so good. I mean, I do feel like it's the most like throwing a bowling ball and it hits strike fun. You know what I mean? As opposed to the other ones, which are maybe like a little more. Not that The Host isn't emotionally taxing, but it's a little more traditionally fun. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm flashing back, not to be all Nikki Fink told you, but flashing back to that Oscar night, the last semi-normal Oscar night. And you and I both were sort of cynically like, is fucking Mendes gonna sweep this thing, right?
Right. I was trying to remember what the fear was, what the
1917 was
fucking
big
1917.
Fear. And I feel like going into it, it was like, it will feel like a victory if Bong wins one of the three. If he wins director, screenplay, or picture. And you were like, maybe there's a scenario where they give Mendes director, but they throw Parasite picture, or the opposite. You want one of the three. And then it was like, when he won the first one, you were like, I guess it's out of the running. I guess that was the consolation prize. And I was like, David, I think it's going to fucking go the distance. And then he won Best Director, and you were like, it's absolutely going to 1917 now.
Yeah.
And then the moment when
you
it was like, he fucking did it.
Yeah. I feel like you could tell even in like watching his acceptance speeches where he's like, I got one, like that's pretty good, probably not going to get another one. And then the second one, like, holy shit, this is also pretty good, probably not going to get another one. And then they fucking did it.
And he just like had international film in the back pocket that whole time. And then it just kept on stacking up. It was a pretty incredible feeling.
It was an amazing night. It was just really great. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah. I lost my mind.
I cannot imagine. I feel like I've seen video of you reacting.
There's video of Karen losing her mind.
The most mortifying thing is that they played it on CNN. I was like, you didn't tell me you would be filming this video on national TV, and I wish I had known beforehand.
I don't think I knew that.
I remember it all.
Yeah.
But he didn't win. Bong, the loser, I call him.
Yes,
Big L.
Right. Look, he won the Oscars, but that's a local show. This year, Blank Check was international, and I think somewhat surprisingly, yes, it went to Park Chan-Wook, who you have more of an up and down relationship with. You said, or just is that fair?
I find it easier to like rank his films, as it were.
Okay, sure.
All right, so this is number one.
Yeah, baby.
What's number two?
Oh, I mean, I do really like Old Boy, which is maybe a boring choice. I also do like JSA. Yeah, Old Boy's great. And also coming out again, I guess I don't know when this episode is coming up, but they're putting the movie back in theaters, so go watch it if you haven't. And also, please don't look anything up if you haven't and just go.
It's coming out in about a month.
Okay.
In exactly a month, in August 16th. This episode's dropping July 16th.
Nice.
And I am excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool that it's coming back. But
it's great.
You think everything that happens in that movie is cool?
I think everyone's good in Old Boy.
Everyone does a good job and nothing wrong.
I think it's despicable.
Everyone does kind of do a good. I mean, they get things done in Old Boy. I'll give them that. there's actions taken.
I think it's kind of despicable that director Park condones the behavior of every single character in that movie.
Can you imagine if that movie like freshly dropped right now and all of that media discourse was around Oldboy being like, wow, he supports this behavior?
I am not saying this in the tone of, when are we going to reckon with Oldboy? But it is just kind of astounding how that movie is just completely grandfathered and is like, we all love this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of universally beloved for a movie that perverse. And yes, if it came out tomorrow, it would destroy the internet. That having been said, the last couple of years, every year, there's a movie that I think is going to be the one that destroys discourse, and the one that actually does is something else.
What most recently?
Yeah.
I mean, there was the year where I felt like Licorice Pizza got the discourse that I thought Red Rocket was going to get.
Oh, okay.
Last year, I thought The Whale was going to be the one that destroyed the discourse, and instead, I think everyone was just kind of like, ugh.
I don't even want to see it.
Right, and there was...
I can't be bothered. And A24 was brilliant. They were like, you get one still.
Yes.
And then the movie was out, and they're like, one still. And they're like, what do you mean? The movie's like on DVD. I can fucking... One still. There's one picture from that movie. That's it.
One.
He's sitting. No more questions.
I'm trying to even think, like, what is the one that I think got... I don't know. It even felt like at the end there was more people, like, more insane discourse around everything everywhere than there was The Whale, where everyone was just kind of like, whatever.
It does feel like it's just like a reflection of how big those movies are or how like mainstream they are, because like Licorice Pizza got that because it was Paul Thomas Anderson and more famous than whatever was going on with Red Rocket, and same with Everything Everywhere All at Once, where that had just so much more buzz that even if it was positive, which it was, it had to curdle at some point.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I remember the one that felt like it was the monkey paw swap of The Whale, even though they're radically different films. Although I do think in the last month, when it felt clear that everything was going to sweep, then all the ire went there. Glass Onion was the one that I felt like no one could be normal about for a movie that played at a film festival and everyone was like, fun, a good time.
Don't release your movie on Netflix. That's the... It's the moral of that story, in my opinion.
Little catch there.
Anyway, now everyone's normal about every movie, and that's
right.
Good.
Yeah.
Whenever a new movie comes out, people greet it with like, an entertaining flick. And that's all I have to say. People just tweet that over and over again.
An entertaining flick. And that's all I have to say.
An entertaining flick.
Yeah, Twitter is good again.
I'm going to, as a social experiment, right now on Monday, June 19th at 9:30 p.m., we're recording this episode over Zoom because Karen's on the other side of the country.
Sorry.
I'm going to just tweet a normal flick, and that's all I have to say. And see how people respond to this.
Everything you tweet is insane. Everyone's going to go crazy.
And what they think I'm talking about.
I am interested to see the results of this.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of good answers to what you could be tweeting about right now, but go for it.
A normal flick, ... and
go?
that's all I have to say, exclamation point.
Exclamation point.
Okay,
everyone is going to think you're talking about The Flash. It's going to go so bad.
That is the thing. That is the thing. They're going to think I'm talking about.
The thing is, I do want to see Michael Keaton on the big screen. I have not seen The Flash yet.
Seeing him.
I love Michael Keaton so much.
He's looking good.
Favorite living actor and one of my favorite screen performances, reprising it, a thing I thought would never happen. I am treating the idea of going to see that movie like it is laundry.
Yeah.
The Flash. He run fast.
He run fast.
What you're missing right now is David doing his impression of the Flash running, which I have to say is very good.
He does run in a funny way in those
He does
movies.
run like
he's
that,
sort of like, He's like a speed skater.
And for the listener at home, it looks like
they devised.
Tim Robinson running really fast is sort of what I'm seeing here on the Zoom. I like this bit
I'm turning my video off.
That David is indistinguishable from Tim Robinson. One haircut and now.
Lady Vengeance.
Lady
Karen,
Vengeance.
What is the first film in this filmography that you would have seen, and when did you see Lady Vengeance? What's your relationship to this director?
I actually think this was the first one that I watched because Similar to my relationship with Bong Joon-ho, like I started watching Park Chan-wook's movies like because of my dad, because he was into cinema and Korean cinema, and I think this was also his favorite movie. I'm not clear on that. But we had this DVD, and so it was the first one that I watched, and obviously it was very high impact.
Yeah. I mean, how old would you have been?
Late teens, probably.
Okay.
I don't think I was like
Yeah.
allowed to watch it for a little
No.
while for obvious
Right.
reasons.
No.
Yeah.
So you didn't see it when it came out in the States.
No,
You
I
saw
did
it
not. I
on
did not.
DVD or
Yes.
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this was the first of his films that you saw, and so a seminal favorite in a way for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think if I had seen any of the other ones before, but I don't think so. Yeah, this was the first one. Yeah.
And it set you on a clear course for the rest of your life in terms
Yes.
of seeking vengeance at all costs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wear exclusively red eyeshadow now.
I mean, it's a good look.
It is really good. I do love that everyone was like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, what is going on with that?
Because your friends would. If you just suddenly changed your look, it'd be like, why are you goth now?
Yeah, well, but it looks cool.
It
That's
does.
all you'd have to say.
I mean, she's so great.
I mean, yeah, when people change their appearance, you know, people sometimes will notice and they'll be like, wow, wait, look at what you've done.
Now, Karen, I don't know if you've heard the news. This is the first episode to come out since we have revealed this publicly.
You can't see it,
But it's
you
also-
can't see it
at
on
all.
the Zoom.
Damn
The
it.
first episode, this mini-series that we're doing over Zoom, where someone has not had the ability to study Ben in person, but Ben recently
Oh,
made a
that's right. Yes.
radical physical transformation
Yeah.
that is in and of itself announcing a brand new era
Hell
in his,
yeah.
in his life and his identity, his brand.
Absolutely.
Bad Boy 2.0. Now, I think truly, Ben, try holding your ear as close up to the screen as you possibly. I want to see if there's any way
God.
this is
Yeah, I see.
okay.
It.
You see the little glimmer,
Yeah, absolutely. That's nice.
the one stud, the one
That's
ear
good.
piercing.
Yep. It's a new chapter.
How long do you have to keep that stud before you can do like different ones?
4 months.
4 months. Okay. Do you have plans already?
A big hoop.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that.
Me too.
Here's a question for the group. Has anyone, which version was watched in terms of the regular or the fade to white as it's called?
Oh, is it fade to white or is it? Oh, well, the first time I saw this movie was the standard version, and I think
Okay.
rewatching it for this time, I watched it on Mubi, and the version that they have is the fade to black and white
and
version.
white. It is
Yeah.
incorrectly on the Blu-ray Griffin called the fade to white version, which would make no sense. Of
I know.
course.
I thought it sounded kind of poetic, but I was going
Yeah,
off of what
with
it
like
said
the
on
sounds
the
tofu
cool.
motif.
Yeah.
But imagine if the screen just was white in the last third. It's like, wait a second, I can't see anything.
But yeah, this was the first
Hello?
time that I'd seen this version of it, and while I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember this movie being like this.
I watched it this way. I had never seen that version of it before, but I've got the Blu-ray and it's available. And I was like, I've seen this movie. I'll try this out.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty
cool.
was
fucking
impressed.
effective.
Yeah.
And I got the little intro from sexy director Park. 2 minutes of him describing that. He looks good in the intro. He looks
Oh shit!
very
I want to
cool.
see now. I mean,
He's an
he's a
incredibly
good
handsome
looking
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a good-looking
He's got
man.
great hair.
Great hair, and it's really working for him in this video. You know, it's all big and poofy.
Yeah.
And he's got his glasses, and he's just like, yeah, you know, here was my idea with this whole like fading the color thing, and you know, man, I hope you like it. You know, he's not like being like, you know, hello, it is I, the master of cinema. You know, but it's
Well, that's Koreans for you.
it's very cool. I think
Because
it's cool.
Let's just clarify. His original intent was in the second half of the movie, the color starts fading away gradually until you get to a point that it's basically black and white with certain highlighted color elements, a sort of subtler version of a Sin City type thing. So they shot the movie with that intent. And then when director Park saw the footage from the second half of the movie, he thought it looked so good in color that it would be a shame to take the color out of it. And also it sounded like there was a bit of a thing where when they tried the process, they weren't happy with the effect. So they released it full color all the way through. And then after the movie was a success on DVD, they sort of went back and did that original version. So now both
did it up.
Exist out there in the ether.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that like sort of similar stuff has also happened with Parasite and also Mother, not to just talk about Bong again, but like the black and white version of Parasite came out like when like the Oscar campaign was going out so people could have a different version to watch. And then with Mother, like they had originally done it, I think they had thought about it in pre-production of just doing it in black and white, but then when it obviously just released in full color, and then the cinematographer like went back to do it in black and white, and originally just as like a gift for the crew to like watch again, but that version is out there somewhere if you want to find it.
Yeah, they've played it at like a couple film festivals. I think it's harder to find that.
Yeah.
I never watched the black and white Parasite cut. I don't know. I guess I'd watch it if you made me. I like the colors,
forced me.
though.
Yeah, it does look really
right.
good. I mean, that's sort of the thing with this movie too, where like the standard version is also really beautiful. Like that was what I was thinking in the scene where she finally does meet the adult Wonmo, like in the bathroom. Like my memory of that is like very clear with like the sort of orange yellow tile, and like that's the version of it that I think of. Which was why when I was watching it, I was like, wait, did I like totally just like fugue state in this movie being in color?
Well, that was
I mean,
yeah,
it's interesting.
When he looked at the footage, he was taken enough with it that he had second thoughts about taking the color out of it. What's the DP's name?
It's his usual DP, no? It's Chung Chun-hoon.
He basically
Chung-Hoon,
said,
sorry.
like, if I had known he would have released it with the color in, I would have lit everything differently. So I think he prefers.
Don't worry about it, buddy.
Like it's great either way is the thing.
I watched it on Tubi, and it was kind of disconcerting to have ads pop up at certain moments in the movie.
You could use a Modelo Light around now, couldn't you?
Yeah, it would really be jarring, to be completely honest.
This movie's also got the fractured timeline thing going on where it's jumping all around from sort of like her memories to the present, her perception of things or whatever. If it just suddenly cuts to a Swiffer commercial, it probably takes a second to realize it's not part of the film.
Yeah, I would recommend. I would recommend getting a Blu-ray or watching it on Mubi for sure.
Well, Lady Vengeance, let me give you guys some context about it. There's this whole sort of backstory to the quote-unquote Vengeance trilogy, which is a very informal trilogy, I think. That when he was doing a press conference about Old Boy, Director Park was sort of like asked something along the lines of like, why another movie about vengeance? And he was like, what's wrong with vengeance? There's a long history of vengeance in storytelling, going back to mythology. So he said, I can do 10 films. In fact, I'm planning a third film right now. And he says, like, and that was the first time he had even thought the idea. And he was like, what if I did a vengeance movie with a lady? Sort of a lady vengeance, if you will. Like that is, look, I think he's a self-deprecating person. Like I don't know if it's exactly right, like this simple, but he does basically say like, I don't know, I just, that'll show them. You can do more vengeance movies.
That's how all filmmakers should respond when someone criticizes them for like repeating themselves. It's just be like, it's a franchise.
Yeah,
right.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah,
or,
I'll do another one.
It's the
Fuck
same line
you.
as she does, like, no, not it's like, well, because the line that she says when she comes out of the prison in the first time, and she says, it's translated as go screw yourself, but the more literal translation of that is like, why don't you mind your own business, basically? And that's the vibe of it, where it's like, why don't you?
Maybe I like vengeance.
Yeah.
See the movie, don't see the movie. Now, apparently his real first inspiration for this movie was the case of the Frog Boys. Do you know about this, Karen?
I don't know that specifically, but I know that he's talked about it was because I watched an interview with him recently where he was saying like he was inspired to make this by a story of a young woman who killed a young boy while pregnant.
So that's the second thing.
Okay.
The first thing was there's some sort of famous case of 5 teenage boys, or less than teenage actually. Most of them were around 10, 11, 12, who went missing in Korea in 1991. They were supposedly looking for salamander eggs. For some reason, it became known as the Frog Egg Boys. And they were never found. They were found many, many years later in 2002. And they were probably murdered. They had some kind of blunt force trauma. I don't know. I think it's still, no one really knows what happened. And he was thinking of doing a movie about this very case. And then the boys were found, the bodies were found. And he decided, like, okay, I can't do like exactly that.
Yeah.
Because it's whatever, because it's too complicated to actually sort of draft off of this case. And then, yes, he also had this other real life story about a pregnant woman who had stolen a child, I guess is what he abducted a child. And he was like, I would love to understand why, something like that would happen. And I want to have a female protagonist. He says an old boy, the lead female character, Mido, she's not privy to the truth. And that didn't sit right with him. Obviously, the necessity of the narrative is she doesn't know what's going on, but it is obviously quite distressing what happens to her in Old Boy. And he says, in the film industry, we haven't had a lot of female protagonists. When you place a woman at the center of a film, it makes the film much more enriched and sophisticated. And he's got a daughter who he talks about all the time. He's always making the most demented movies on earth. And he's like, I was making this sort of, with my daughter in mind. I feel like after this, he uses a lot of female protagonists.
Yeah.
Like Karen. No, sorry. Before we move on from this, of relevance to our guest.
Go ahead.
Karen, do you know, we've pulled up basically every time he says that he made the movie for his daughter, inspired by his daughter, and his daughter sees the movie and is unimpressed. The comparison point is always, she's more into Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, right. He's always like, do you like I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay? And she's like, no, I like Jack Sparrow.
I'm more
That's
of a gorehead.
Hysterical. That's hysterical.
Griffin.
Yes.
Our next partner is AG1.
AG1.
The daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it literally every day.
I've become the healthiest person alive. I've decided to become the healthiest person.
You put it in your drink, in your water.
You shake it up Taylor Swift style.
Exactly. I gave AG1 a try.
Why'd you do it?
I was tired of taking so many supplements together, these product things. They send you tons of different stuff to take.
Yeah.
I wanted one thing, a single solution that supported my entire body, covered my nutritional bases every day, better gut health, boost in energy, immune system support, all of that into one supplement that actually tastes good. And I don't have to take a bunch of pills and vitamins.
15 gummies every morning and night. Yeah. No, what I do, I drink AG1. I drink it in the morning. I drink it in the afternoon. I drink it with my coffee. Start off my day. I treat AG1 like pizza bites.
Okay. You drink
AG1 in the morning, AG1 in the evening, AG1 at supper time.
Okay. And it makes you feel good?
It makes me feel unstoppable.
Oh, wow. Okay.
People look around, they go, where's Denzel? Is he riding on your back? Because you're unstoppable, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Look, AG1.
Yeah.
It makes everything supplement taking so much easier just because it's the one thing. You get this overall feeling of health, improved digestion, focus.
These are things I have no experience.
Sustained energy. Why take a bunch of different things when you can just mix one scoop of powder and water once a day? It was designed with these in mind so you can live healthier and better without having to complicate your routine. They've got what the whole thing is. It's a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers comprehensive nutrients to support whole body health. Replaces your multivitamin, your probiotic, and more.
75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, high whole food source ingredients, all these things.
Yeah, it's really raising the standard for quality in the supplement category. Science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food sourced nutrients. Listen, it comes once a month. It's easy to make it a daily habit. You can also get the little travel pack, single serving, if you are out of the house. So you never have to miss a day. Just mix the powder into ice cold water and drink it. That's it. Okay. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/blankcheck. That's drinkag1.com/blankcheck. Check it out.
Check it out.
I mean, I know he's also said that he wanted to give Lee Young-ae, the lead actress, something more to do after JSA as well.
Yeah, because in JSA at the start, you're like, great, this movie is about her. Like, she's the investigator. She's uncovering the case. And then, like, pretty quickly, you're like, no. It's about all the boyfriends.
It's
and I
also
love
worth
all
noting,
the boyfriends.
that this movie came out right after she was done with this K-drama called Daejanggeum, she was like one of the most famous people in Korea
deal.
at this point, and like that
Right.
drama is still like very, very well known.
Yes, I believe that drama was watched by like half the country, right?
Yeah,
like it's on her
insane.
Wikipedia page. Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really nuts. And like, I mean, she apparently like had sort of wanted to do something different, which this very much fits the bill.
Do you have any insight, Karen? There's like a huge gap in her career where she does this in 2005 and then comes back to TV in 2017, doesn't do another movie until 2019. But there's basically like a 12-year gap with no credits.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know personally, but what I would speculate is that this tends to be something that happens to female celebrities basically of a certain age, where it's like you get married and you have kids, and that's sort of like what you do. And that said, she also like wasn't just gone for that time. Like she was in a lot of ads. I still think like even like I just went to Koreatown in LA recently, and she is still in some ads on there.
She became like a different kind of celebrity.
Right. Like
Right.
even just off the back of Daejanggeum, she probably I think was even pre that was in a lot of ads because she was so beautiful.
So this comes out in
She's very
2005. 2007, she becomes the global ambassador of LG Household and Healthcare's premium beauty brand. 2009, she's married. 2011, she has twins. 2017, she returns to acting.
Yeah, you just kind of don't have to do anything if you're getting that kind of ad money.
Yeah, that's wild.
But she's a good actor.
She's terrific. Yeah.
So my hat is off to her. If she wants to act more, I'd support her. I personally think she should do it.
She's got a good number of credits since 2017. Like now it feels like she's back.
Yeah. It seems to be a fair amount of TV, especially. But yeah, she has done. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Right. She's in JSA and she is somewhat underused, although she's very, very, charming and arresting in it. Like, but also, no, I just feel like after this, it's like, I'm a Cyborg that sort of co-leads. Thirst, Song Kang-ho is the lead of that, obviously. Stoker, that's a female lead. Handmaiden are female leads. Decision to Leave is sort of a two-hander there. Yeah. Like, I feel like he does pivot more to female protagonists after Lady Vengeance.
You gotta have a girl around if you're trying to be horny. And he's very horny.
That is the kind of Robert McKee level insight you should be peddling on masterclass, Karen. You should be sitting in a big leather chair.
Yeah.
Smoking
a
you gotta have a girl around. If you want there to be horniness.
But it's true. He's such a horny director.
Yeah, but he's also a girl dad.
Yeah.
I would say this is one of his less horny films.
Yes, that is correct.
Not that it does not have prison cunnilingus. There's some
all of the
shocking
horniness
material.
in this movie is upsetting. Yeah, it's bad.
It's quite upsetting. Yes. Usually his movies are certainly shot through with some horniness.
Yeah. Yes. There's no. It doesn't feel like there's any really good sex in this movie. I would say
no.
Well, no one's having a good time in this movie.
No,
right?
Period.
At any point, right? Lady Vengeance. Okay. With Old Boy, that's the first time Park had worked with Chung Chung-hoon, who is the cinematographer who works on him with every movie going forward, all the way to The Handmaiden, and now not inexplicably because he's incredibly talented, but he's now working in Hollywood, and he did Last Night in Soho and drumroll please, Uncharted. He shot shit. Uncharted.
Wow.
Which I don't remember looking bad, but I don't remember it looking good. And And he also did every episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, wow.
Does that
Another show where I'm like, I don't remember it looking bad, but I don't remember it looking good.
It's kind of dark in my memory. You know, like all those Disney Plus shows. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Wish he'd gotten on Andor.
And that's a good looking show.
Yeah, man. That's a handsome show.
And he also co-wrote this movie with Chung Seo-kyung. I mean, Karen, help me with these names. I mean, you don't have to help me, but tell me if I'm
Tong
completely
Seo-kyung,
mangling.
probably.
Well, yes. I mean, your Korean pronunciation is unsurprisingly excellent.
Also, Korean romanization is fucked up, man. Like, it's never quite right.
Right. I know that it's a losing battle here for me to try to do it accurately.
You can just cut in me saying them in the edit.
for every episode? Can we go back and
that
get
definitely
tracks?
wouldn't get weird at any
Yeah.
point.
No.
And he's written all of his films since, except for Stoker, with this person. But she is, I guess, she's just very positive on him. So even though she's coming aboard with him post Old Boy, she's like, he's always treated me as an equal partner. Like, even though I kind of, thought he was so impressive.
She told this amazing story about the table read for this movie, where apparently Lee Young-ae initially came in and did a much, I guess, like harsher or kind of bolder read of Kumja. And she could tell that that Park and everyone else in the room was kind of like, ooh, I don't think this is really what this part demands, or I don't think this is really working. But no one was saying it because Lee Young-ae is so famous. And so eventually she was the one who was like, hey, I don't think this is really working, or don't you think you should try this a little differently? And she could feel the whole room just go cold, because again, this is the most famous person in the room. You can't really tell her what to do in that respect. But then later, and someone else in the interview was like, so director Park didn't back you up at all, and she was like, no, he hung me out to dry. but she made it work.
Absolutely. Griff, I just noticed that you tweeted that tweet again.
I had a typo the first time.
Okay.
So
Okay. I was just interested.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to juice up my numbers.
This is an unfolding saga.
I wanted a pure sample. Well, okay. So Will Goss, friend of the podcast, quote tweeted the one with the typo, a good joke, and then he thankfully did it again with the corrected tweet, which is a normal flick, and that's all I have to say. And then his quote tweet above it is Griff reviewing A Bug's Life in 1998, which is the most correct and most innocent interpretation.
That's
the only
very
other
nice.
guess I saw from anyone was assuming that I'd seen Mission Impossible early.
I was worried that would come through too.
Yeah,
right?
that would be my guess.
Your take on Mission Impossible 7 was that it was normal,
Yes.
which would be a weird thing to walk out of the theater with. How was it? Normal.
Yeah, and that's all I
have
have
to say.
Yeah. So far, no one's assuming it's Flash, which is good.
There's still time.
Chung also says Park's wife should basically be credited in all his movies, which the director has also said. That she always sort of looks at all his scripts and rewrites them. Anyway, all right. So Lady Vengeance, sort of a deceptively simple narrative, I would say, but presented disorientingly. Is that crazy? If you actually lay it all out end to end, you can sort of comprehend it fairly quickly, but it just, the way he unfolds it is what's, keeps you sort of guessing, right?
It is structured in a mystery in that way, where you get the clues as he wants you to get them, and you don't get it just A to B.
But I also think that's the case with almost all of his films. Old Boy is weirdly kind of the exception, because Old Boy is you basically know as much as the protagonist knows, and you're trying to figure out alongside him.
Sure, right.
Versus
there's this one big thing he doesn't know.
One big thing he doesn't know. But most of the other ones, Handmaiden does a similar thing where you think you understand what movie you're watching, and then it kind of keeps resetting the timeline, your understanding, your perspective. Yeah.
That said, I think even this, if you laid it out linearly, there's still sort of that twist. When the final act like begins, the reveal that the final act hinges on, like that totally changes where you think this story is going, or at least it did for me with the first time that I saw this.
Absolutely. So he's starting with the person. He's starting with this character. How do you say her name, Karen? This is one of the Gumja. Gumja. So he says, like, she's decided to prescribe and execute revenge on this Mr. Beck, the person who turned into her criminal. And he's, Park is sort of like, in a way, it doesn't seem like enough initially, like as you're saying, Carol, like, when you're watching it, you're like, okay, she's decided, to go after this guy who participated in some incident in some way, but like you don't really know what's going on. And Park said he basically structured it this way where you don't really totally know every layer of it because he wanted a sense of isolation between the audience and the protagonist. He didn't want you to identify with the protagonist, really. He wanted her to feel like she's sort of like outside of reality in a way, outside of society, right? Like she does feel almost superpowered or supernatural or something, like that she can like X-ray people with her eyes. I don't know how to describe her.
There's this whole element to like this character pled guilty. There is a media narrative that we're basically introduced to as we're introduced to her in the movie, where you understand the way the public thinks of her. It's a narrative that she continues to perpetuate. And so you're both sort of hearing her telling at times of this sort of accepted version of the story and then slowly peeling back selectively, depending on who she's talking to and what she's trying to accomplish, what really was going on, and then why she even got herself into the situation where she would have pled guilty.
Yeah, I mean, it comes across so beautifully in her performance, where she seems so calm and collected at all times. Like throughout, I would say like the first 50% of the movie, there's only one scene, and it's like 2 seconds where you see her not guarded somehow. Like the very first day that she gets into prison, where she's crying. Like that's the only moment that you see her as anything else. Like otherwise, she's acting in a certain way, whether it's acting as this angel for people to like her in prison, or acting as this very kind of hard to approach woman as soon as she gets out.
Yes, I love what's his name? He's in
Kim
Boy.
Byung-uk. Yeah, he's got such a strange face. It's and the haircut.
Got such a funny face. Right, he's got the blonde hair in Old Boy. He's like the bodyguard guy, and in this, he's got this like mushroom hair. He's like her biggest fan.
He-Man haircut. Yeah.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah. But yeah, what a weird face that man has. My hat is off to his weird face. He's not that important in this movie, obviously, but he is
He's
the one
around,
who's like,
yeah.
I love you. I love you.
In the beginning,
right, yeah.
when the movie is sort of keeping you in the dark, is when he has the greatest amount of screen time, where at least his hair is something you can hold on to. It's like a consistent life raft. No, it's an interesting starting point to basically have this woman who pled guilty to like a horrendous crime, but you're introduced to her as, here she is being released. She's basically this cause celeb, as like an example in the public eye of like prison reform in effect, right? Or prisoner reform.
Yeah.
In effect, right? Here, look at her. What a transformation she made. And it's like, because it's like, look at this hot lady who went to jail in this way that like does happen in the media,
Yeah.
where when people get weirdly sexually attracted to a criminal, but also the idea of like, well, it does seem like she changed inside. And then the movie just starts immediately peeling away. Like, we're presenting someone who did something that's seemingly unforgivable, but the public has basically forgiven her for it. And then we're going to untangle why she actually didn't do it and why she's now justified for what she's about to do.
Yeah, the explanation's so fun. Like, I do like the flashback structure. Like, getting to meet each of the women that she befriends in prison is, for me, like the most fun part of this movie, because there's not that much to be found at the end of it.
Yes, and also you're initially like, okay, is this about her assembling a crew of ragtag weirdos? Like, okay, I can get on board with that.
We've been recording Ocean's trilogy and the surrounding movies.
Ocean's films.
The Ocean's films commentaries for Patreon. And there is this section of the movie that feels like that, where it's like, why is she assembling this ragtag crew? And you're almost like learning about a heist in reverse.
Mm-hmm. It is so good, though, like the way that it's set up, because I feel like the intro to Every Woman fits that mold. But as soon as you see them meeting outside of prison, it's so clear. Like the women themselves comment on this, where they're like, oh, you're just using us. Like you don't actually have any affection for us. Like we are a means to an end for you.
I mean, she's got nothing left other than like means to an end at this point. Right? Yeah. It does feel like she's a person who exists basically driven
for
entirely. Revenge. Right. Yeah.
Right. She's sort of a non-person. She is both not the, the angel she presented herself as in prison, but she's also everything she's doing feels calculated out of prison in some way, and it's just about trying to understand what the calculation is. And initially, obviously, you think that she's a scary villain because she killed a baby.
Bad.
A child.
Bad crime.
Yeah.
But she didn't actually do it, guys. She didn't do that. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what it's sort of revealed in flashback. What probably like sort of half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie. I'm trying to think of when that becomes super clear. I don't know.
It doesn't take too long because it's pretty much revealed. Like you get a pretty clear sense of it as soon as the detective comes to the bakery. As soon as she gets that job, like it becomes very clear that she did not actually commit this murder.
Right. Well,
because she starts work at a bakery with a cutie shop assistant who she's mean and scary to.
And because he's young and was young when her case happened, he does not know, and so she has to explain it to him.
Yes.
After we've already just sort of been brought midstream into the redemption arc. You have to hear her explain what she has been accused of, which is, like, as we said, pretty upsetting and terrifying.
Yeah.
And
also, quick sidebar, the bakery owner, Odalsu, that actor is the voice of the monster in The Host, and also was recently semi-canceled.
Interesting.
Oh, no.
For being the monster?
I was about to say, what a cool guy.
No, it was like some sexual harassment thing.
Oh, well, that's also monstrous.
Different kind of monster, yeah.
We should mention, I guess we haven't mentioned within the episode yet, that all four of us, I came on the Zoom and I picked the same Zoom background that David did. So then Ben and Karen both matched it, and all four of us have the exact same background.
Well,
which is,
describe the background. A very iconic image from this film.
I mean, this is like a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Of her. How do you even... She's like in the middle of like snowy plains, dragging a sort of taxidermied horse. It's like a dog converted into a rocking horse.
Dog man sled.
But with the human head, right?
Yeah.
And then she shoots it with a gun. She also has a badass leather sort of jacket dress on and boots, and she looks absolutely $1 bajillion. But yes, it's one of the things that I feel like the movie throws out in its first hour, where it's just like, chew on that, you animals, and you're like, which is sort of the magic of Park Chan-Wook. Like, I just feel like, if I sat down and told you the narrative of one of his movies, you would be like, that's pretty crazy, and I would be like, sure. Beyond that, he also is going to tell it to you in a pretty aggressive and unusual way.
Yeah.
Like, this will not be related conventionally.
Can we, for the sake of making it easier to talk about, just basically lay out the bones of what's going on in this story?
Yeah, go for it. The bones of their money.
Yes, and so are the worms.
I mean, let's make this a group effort because I want to make sure I don't fuck this up. She gets pregnant as a teenager.
Yeah. She approaches her teacher,
Yes.
played by Choi Min-sik.
최민식.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Karen.
The star
Sorry.
of Old Boy.
Yes.
He's
No,
great.
please. No, don't be sorry. Star of Old Boy, who
she's
feels like just unafraid to take any part, this
Yeah,
dude.
we'll do
I know
anything,
he's a
yes.
major Korean actor, but like, God bless him. After Old Boy, Park Chan-wook's like, how
Yeah.
about this part? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll
But
do it.
she's like understandably terrified, doesn't know what to do about the kid, terrified of the judgment of being made to be an outcast, what have you. So she goes to him in her terror for help. And he basically, in exchange for getting the child put up for adoption and covering her pregnancy, ropes her into helping him in an ongoing sort of ransom ring scam he has
Yes.
going on, kidnapping children.
She
He
is not
kidnaps
aware
young
that it's
children.
ongoing.
Right.
Right. I believe this is the first time that it happens, right? Karen, that's
Yeah.
my impression.
Yeah, because she tells the detective
Um,
at the end, if you'd caught him then, these other kids wouldn't be dead.
Right. So much of what I feel like her profound sort of guilt and shift in approach in the latter part of the movie is her realizing like this, right? Further crimes could have been prevented.
But it's very much like all these horrifying stories you hear in real life of these weird, like sex control cults, whatever, except it's sort of micro-targeted to just her, basically using her. But there are always these things of like creating these systems of control and power. You owe me favors, and you're in a position where you can't say no to my whims and what have you. And so, yes, she doesn't totally understand what she's doing. Once she does, she's in too deep.
I also was under the impression that the intention, maybe I'm wrong about this, but the intention wasn't to give up the child prior to her going to jail. Because later she tells Jenny, like, I had to give you up because I went to jail, as opposed to I planned to give you up before that.
I think that's ambiguous. Yeah, she's just
Yeah,
seeking
all right.
help, I guess. And we
Right.
don't
Yeah.
really we don't really know what it all goes wrong because
Yeah, because
he
he's
then,
a child murderer.
Right.
he's a child murderer.
That's
He's
sort
the
of-
worst person who ever lived.
Yeah.
The additional
She went
twist.
to the worst person
Right.
you could go to.
You
Yeah.
think he's
very
really
bad.
because he kidnaps children for ransom money. And in fact, he pretends that he's kidnapping children for ransom money so that he can just murder them to get his rocks off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very bad. Just FYI also to blank check listeners and voters, I am increasingly like, why did you pick this director who I admire and love?
Yeah.
But who half of his goddamn movies are about child murder.
David doesn't like
And-
child murder. David's come out
No.
very recently to be an anti-child
Well, it
murder
is worse when you have a child.
advocate.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the weird thing is, I actually rewatched the entire Vengeance trilogy when my daughter was like 3 months old. I think I mentioned this. They put them on
Yeah.
Criterion Channel or something like that, and I was like, oh man, like, I'm gonna watch those, like Vengeance trilogy, and I watched them no problem whatsoever, which is a great sign of how cooked your brain is when you have an infant. You're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, what are they doing? Cool.
Also, she wasn't
I
talking
don't-
yet. She was like a potato.
She was a potato. She didn't care. I mean,
Yeah.
she watched the whole damn thing with me. It's insane that I let her be in the room for this. I mean,
She
didn't
gave them all
watch. She
4 out of
can't see
5 on
anything.
Letterboxd. She was into them.
Yeah, exactly.
She's big on Letterboxd.
And then
Yes, huge
she
on
is, my
Letterboxd.
daughter, huge on Letterboxd. Yes, she's I don't know. Insert the name of a funny Letterboxd user there.
Emoji pointing finger uppy question mark.
Aw.
Yeah, exactly. And my daughter does say uppy a lot, which means up. But yeah, I rewatched this movie, and I'd already watched, the other 2 Vengeance movies,
Yeah.
which are not exactly, fucking light affairs.
Right.
And for some bananas reason, I even remembered the ending of this movie where I'm like, yeah, then they all get together in like a big abandoned schoolhouse and they kill him. And I was like, and why do they kill him? I don't know. He's no good. And I just forgot how
forgot.
awful I had to fast
It is.
forward. Sorry.
It's like an incredible ending, but it's horrible.
It's a
to
very
watch.
impressive ending.
Yeah.
I think
yes.
the ending of this movie is amazing, and I think
Yeah.
it's such a cool and interesting ending to a quote unquote vengeance trilogy. Like,
Yes.
I know that the idea of this trilogy is somewhat informal, but I do think like it's fascinating for him to watch, like, to present like a group vengeance, you know, that is executed in this sort of like thought through and quote unquote moral, you know, and also completely insane way. Like it's like where he's just like, does this make sense? And you're like, obviously what you're showing me is so surreal, but also, yes, it makes sense to me, right? Like that you have to grapple with that.
Yeah. I also think
so
like
cool.
So much of this trilogy is about like the ugliness of vengeance, right? And he's sort of like going up against the reliability of the like revenge-o-matic as a genre movie and digging into the actual underpinnings of the emotion of what's driving those kinds of movies rather than just making it the surface level fun. But this is the movie where I almost feel like he's trying to circle back around yet again and go like, but within the tone of vengeance that I've set within these films, can I almost make a set of circumstances where you start to question whether it is justified, right? Like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is just like, this guy keeps fucking up. This situation just gets worse and worse. If you operate from this place, everything just like unravels.
Yeah.
And then Old Boy is just like these two people destroying each other's lives, right?
This is the most straightforward in that respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then this is basically just like setting the deck so wildly that you basically get to the point where you're like, do I think that 30 different people are justified in murdering a man?
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny.
It's like a dozen.
The writer talked about this where like when she was writing the script, she asked Park like, hey, like what did he need that money for? You know, where they ask him at the end, where it's like, what did he need that money for? He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have kids. What does he need the money for? And Park said like, oh, it's like for a yacht, like almost kind of offhandedly was my understanding of it. Yeah. And at first you're like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. But then you're like, no, this completely justifies the anger that these parents are feeling at the end. It makes it worse, where it's just he's doing this for a purpose that's so stupid and so silly that and has hurt so many people in such a profound way.
Yeah. Well, my take on it, maybe I'm overreading it, right? But like, she thought he was doing it for the money. Then she finds out he was doing it for the love of murder. And then it raises the question of like, then what did he do with the money, right?
Yeah.
It's almost
he would take the money.
Of course.
Though. He would make the ransom call.
My read was like, oh, it's almost like the money was the red herring to keep his name clean as just your run-of-the-mill child kidnapper rather than a murderer. And then once he had the money, it's like, what are you going to spend it on? I don't know. Money wasn't the point for me. What do rich people buy? A yacht? You know, which is almost like more disgusting to be like, so he also took our money and it wasn't even for any greater purpose. Like all of it is just so craven and hollow.
Wait, should we lay out the rest of the story? I guess we jump straight to the end. Okay. So she
went to
goes
jail.
to this guy. She is seen taking the child to the bathhouse, and he forces her to take the fall by basically abducting her child and being like, hey, if you don't take the fall, I'm also going to kill your baby. So she goes to jail. She confesses to it. The detective sort of realizes that there's something wrong but can't do anything about it. She goes to jail. She helps a bunch of women in jail, and to the point that they owe her favors basically once they get out. She gets out of jail. She collects on all those favors to try to exact revenge on this guy. She manages to kidnap him. In the meanwhile, she reconnects with her daughter, who was adopted out to Australia, and then comes back to Korea with her. In the process of kidnapping this man, she realizes that he has killed 4 more kids, and at that point decides to bring those parents into it. That's when like the real like sort of justice part happens, because she goes to the detective and is like, what are we going to do about this fucking shit? All the parents come to a schoolhouse, an abandoned schoolhouse in the middle of nowhere, where Mr. Beck is held captive, and they decide what to do with him, which is they will all kill him together.
Right. They will, which is complicated. They will kill him, but slowly enough that they can sort of spread it out amongst a bunch of people, so that everyone can kind of have their shot at him. Then they will take a picture all together.
So
to
that
be
no one
like,
can
we
narc.
are all culpable in this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, yes.
It's both like, let everyone have their little bit of catharsis and ownership of this, but also everyone's equally guilty now, so no one can really turn on anyone else.
Right. But he does deserve it.
Yeah.
He's
as much as
really
you can
There's just no question about
say
that.
that people deserve these things, right? Which is obviously a sort of fraught question. But yes, he's so comically evil.
But that's my point. It's like he's made 2 movies where he's basically saying, like, is it insane that we think about this way? Of that, like, vengeance must be paid, right? You need to get revenge on these people who do these things to you. Does anything good come of it? And then this feels like the movie where he's daring you to not support it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they even pose a question
right.
where she's like, the other option is we just hand him over to the cops, and everyone's like, that's not going to do anything.
Right, what happens? Right. What comes of it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's saying, like, would you in this position do the same thing?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I certainly think as an audience member, you get to the point where you're like, well, absolutely. Yes. As me, the person watching this in the comfort of a seat, yeah, these characters should fucking murder this guy slowly, bit by bit.
yes.
That whole
Yes.
sequence is so harrowing to watch. Like the first introduction of the parents, where it's intercut with them just sitting there to the reactions like minutes later, is like so horrible.
And that's really
I had to
when,
fast forward that.
if you're watching the fade to black and white version,
Yeah.
when the film really has suddenly like crept up on you and become basically monochrome. And it does put everything into very stark relief in an effective way.
And then it's an Oral-B commercial all of a sudden.
Then, yes, of course, the famous scene where it cuts to a water pick.
Yes. He has kind of such good faces for all of those parents too, is the
does.
thing. Like they all have really striking expressions.
David?
Yeah.
Ding dong.
Oh, you're saying something to me. Is it important, or should I go get the
No,
door?
ignore it. I think whoever's at the door is more important. I'll
Freak.
resume this point.
Hello.
Do you hear like a kind of soft little, like some music?
Guys, it's a tiny little tricycle with a puppet on it.
Okay.
David,
It's the guys. It's Jigsaw's puppet.
David, do you want to play a game?
Yes.
It's the most twisted game imaginable.
I'm so terrified right
I'm going
now.
to punish you.
What's the
You
game?
do not appreciate life, and now I will punish you by making you play the world's worst game,
Uh-huh.
the waiting game.
I hate that's a game where no one wins.
Exactly. My favorite kind of a game where no one wins.
Well, I have the perfect way to defeat you.
How?
Because I don't, for example, when it comes to hiring,
Sure.
I don't wait for great talent to find me.
Yes,
I find them first with Indeed.
that makes sense. I have in the past had a very hard time finding assistants. Usually,
You need a lot of people to do all the stuff you do.
it's hard to find a Shawnee Smith, and my strategy would be torture people in games, and then if they survive, go, hey, interesting job opportunity here.
Well,
It'd be better to just accept a bunch of, receive a bunch of applications.
exactly. Rather than all that
Qualified
convoluted
candidates.
stuff.
Right.
I mean, I know you're kind of a living Rube Goldberg machine sometimes,
Sure.
but you could just go to Indeed, which is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
They have a thing called Instant Match, in which over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US.
I have a thing that's called Instant Match as well. It's a match that lights up instantly.
Oh, no. Put
It
that
sets
away.
people on fire.
Come on.
It's
Look.
an instant match.
Look, listen to me. If you use Indeed's hiring platform, right?
Indeed.
Candidates who you invite to apply are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search,
Sure.
according to US data.
Yep.
US Indeed data.
Of course.
We get you one step closer to the hire by immediately matching you with quality candidates. They do the hard work for you at Indeed, okay?
And I mean, I know from hard work,
Yeah, you work very hard.
and I hate these people who don't appreciate hard work. They need to be taught a lesson.
Yeah, look, it's an unbelievably powerful hiring program, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest in 2019. So join more than 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/check. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/check. Just go to Indeed.com/check and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/check. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
David, can you help me with something quickly?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I mean, this is where I should have an assistant to help out.
What's going on?
Can you just pick up the tricycle and turn it in the opposite direction?
Absolutely.
The turns are hard, and I just want to get out of here.
You're out of here.
Because it's remote control. You know, I'm not the puppet. I'm sort of controlling the puppet
You're
from-
speaking to me through the
I'm
puppet,
inevitable.
I understand.
Obviously.
I'm
Okay.
really sweaty. Go
I'll
away.
see you later. Bye.
Here's another thing I was thinking about with him, because he's so good at using these sort of scene fragments, because he will kind of like obfuscate his narrative and give it to you out of order, but also he will give you sometimes just the briefest moment of a scene, of a setting, of a time, of a place, just to give you some image in your head. And it always feels so lived in and like emotionally deep. And especially for movies where people are dealing with incredibly difficult things, you know? Like Lady Bird is a movie that does a similar thing where there are a lot of like 15-second scenes in that movie as it like jumps ahead, but it's a comedy, you know? There's like emotion in that film, but the tone of it is fairly light even when the characters are yelling at each other, versus like this is a movie that will cut into someone who has just heard the worst news you can possibly imagine, and it's just that for 10 or 15 seconds before it cuts over to the next thing. And it's like,
really effective.
It's really effective, but it's also just like I think it is an underrated skill set of like someone like Tarantino talks about. He never will do a pickup where he just has an actor like just do the one line. Oh, I'm only going to use this shot, this angle for this one line, so just say this line for this setup. Or even if it's like a pickup, an insert shot of someone picking something up from a table, he wants to do the full scene, top to bottom, so that the actors have the ability to live in it and the emotions are right. So when they do the one thing that you're actually going to use from that setup, it's invested with enough weight. I don't know how he does it, but it's like you're seeing these scenes that are almost sort of like ellipses of what you could imagine being a 10-minute scene in a different movie.
Yeah.
But every time he cuts to it, you feel the intensity of that actual scene playing out in full.
It's funny. I mean, it's just such a meticulously planned out movie. Like sort of what you were saying, like even with the prison flashbacks, sometimes you only see like 5 seconds of it at the beginning, and then you'll sort of get more context for it later. And that's part of the fun of it, like figuring out what's going on. And also like he knows what details to fixate on, I guess. Like even there's the one most parents, like they know later on in the movie where it's like the father like couldn't handle blood at all. And it's the mom who eventually has to go in and enact her vengeance because her husband kind of doesn't have the right temperament to do it. But then like at the beginning, that detail's like already planted where Kumja goes to their house to try to atone for what she's done by cutting off her fingers. And it's all in there. And there's also like, there's so many fun moments, like the prison scene where there's something happening in the foreground, but you see Kumja coming in the back and it's still like out of focus. But then the character leaves and slips on the soap and falls. And it's all just planted in there. You just have to be paying attention to it.
That's very interesting. I did not I feel like some of that together.
I also want to point out the actress that plays that horrible woman in the prison, Kosuhi, is I think one of the sweetest people in the world, or at least she seems like it in real life. I highly recommend. There's a reality series called Jump Like a Witch on Netflix where a bunch of Korean women celebrities try to form a basketball team, and she's on it, and she's so sweet and nice. It's insane.
Whoa. What a concept.
Wait, a lot of things just
I'm sorry.
in that one little run there, Cameron. We might need to stop and circle back for a moment.
Oh, sure.
Wait, there's a reality show in which Korean celebrities try to form a basketball team. Like, so
it's like a bunch of
gotta kinda do it
adult
themselves.
women, Korean celebrities who form a basketball team. It's a sort of an offshoot of a pre-existing show where a bunch of like men form a sports team, but for this one it was specifically a bunch of adult women forming a basketball team. None of them have really played basketball before. And so there's like musicians, newscaster, and also this actress in there, and she's terrific.
What's it called again?
Jump Like a Witch.
Of course.
Okay, well, that even raises some more questions. But how much of the show, the way you put it, like trying to form a team, how much of the
they're
show?
all really bad at it at the beginning.
Sure, but like, how much of the show is about the games versus like, have you really gotten into like the team spirit? Like, how much of it's about like, just their basic like working demeanor with each other.
They
Locker
all get
room
along
energy.
pretty quickly. So the fun of it is like them trying to support each other as they play basketball really badly. Like they also
Sure.
like some of the first exercises are they pit them against a team of children to see if they can beat the kids.
Good. Apparently she's also in Barking Dogs Never Bite.
She is. And she's also in The Host. She's in one of
The
Bong's
Host,
shorts.
small role in
She's
The
terrific.
Host. Yep.
She's terrific. She's underrated.
So okay. One thing I wanted to say, I found this in the dossier, this is interesting. So there's a Japanese film called, and this is another great title, Female Prisoner 701, Scorpion.
Yeah, good.
I've heard of it.
Which is a Japanese women in prison film that had several sequels and is kind of your classic like women convicts escape from jail, form a brigade, go and loose vengeful hell, right?
Cool.
And Park says like in the first act of Lady Vengeance, I'm kind of alluding to that. I'm trying to draw the audiences in with those kinds of cliches of the revenge story. And then when she is going to, when she finds out about the other victims is when I'm basically shattering that, right? I'm just dropping that completely. And it is quite a clever, it's because she's such an impassive, maybe that's not the word, but like she's such a sort of striking and impressive and scary figure. And you're sort of like, what's going on with her? She's a little inscrutable.
Yeah.
Like it is, you can just sort of go with the like, well, I guess she's, forming a vengeance team.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
gonna be about Lady Vengeance.
That's what makes later scenes more impactful. The fact that she so carefully hides her emotions. The scenes in which she doesn't are the ones where you feel more scared of her. This is another thing that director Park said at one point, which is the scene where after they've drugged Chen Min-sik and she's cutting his hair, apparently he will still talk about the fact that he was so scared while they were shooting that scene because she was so intense while she was shooting it.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's not the prison recruitment. Is there anything in particular there we need to highlight? Because I feel like there's a lot of big, interesting characters and backstories that we learn.
I mean, I love the couple that gets arrested for doing a robbery together. They're so sweet. And also his tattoo of like the arm, into the arm, shooting a gun is terrific.
It is a cool tattoo.
I have the menu for the Arrow Blu-ray playing in a loop right now on my TV, so I keep on seeing that shot of the tattoo every 10 seconds. David, you were saying you want to get a tattoo. You should get that.
Yeah. I agree.
I do want to get a tattoo.
That's what it should be. You nailed it.
I don't think it's going to be
Wait, but it could be a sandwich instead. Customize it.
One or the other, David.
A sandwich tattoo would be good.
Either a gun going into a gun, or a sandwich. I think
what
those
if
are your
it's
two
like
options.
a long one where you have the 2 slices of bread on the side, and then you can decide what ingredients you want to put in there as the tattoo grows.
Oh, I can kind of make it into a club sandwich. I can kind of keep stacking.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm into this.
I like the idea of you having, like, you setting up a sleeve, a long-term tat project that just starts with 1 slice of bread, and then over your life you build a Dagwood sandwich running up to your bicep.
I'll invoke her again, friend of the show, Fran Hoffner.
Blockbuster Fran.
Blockbuster Fran, she's got these tattoos of fruit, and she started out with just a couple, and now she's got so many fruits, and I love her fruits.
It's a really cute sleeve.
So okay, should we talk about the swimming pool prison cunnilingus? Like, what else should we talk about here?
It's that actress's that woman who gets assaulted. That's her feature debut. Ramiran.
Wow.
She's great.
I feel like you really want to talk about the prison cunnilingus. I feel like you've dropped that exact term.
I just keep thinking about it, and I kind of do like the term, I guess. But no. There was something about Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Old Boy both got like 18 ratings in Korea, right? Unsurprisingly. They are very intense films.
Narcy.
For some reason, Park thought maybe he could get the less restrictive rating, which I think is a 15, sort of similar to the British ratings, for this one. I guess because this movie is less violent, I guess, although it's still kind of violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like a hammer attack sequence maybe,
I mean,
but
the
like
child
it's still
endangerment
pretty
feels
bloody.
like worse. Like when you watch the videos
right
at the end,
before
it's like,
exactly, then you have all that, right? But I guess anyway, he said he wanted it to seen by an audience 15 years and older. It got the highest rating, and he thought it was because of the oral sex scene, but apparently the Korean
I'm sorry,
Film
the what,
Commission just,
David? I'm sorry, the what scene?
Prison cunnilingus.
Thank you. Go on.
But apparently the Korean Film Commission just did not like that there was a portrayal of violence inside the jail system at all.
Hilarious.
I'm quoting from director Park here, but they would have preferred to see the positive side, the inmates getting reeducated and well-adjusted
Wow.
in order to go back into society.
wow.
You know, he says, I didn't put all this in to be critical of the jail system. I don't think it's that big a deal. That's why I let my then 12-year-old daughter watch it 3 times. No,
my God.
Park, cut it out.
What?
Stop it.
Stop.
Every time with these dossiers, I'm like, but you didn't let your daughter watch this one. He's like, well,
So just like maybe you need to find a new way to connect to your daughter. Maybe like go fucking rock climbing or watch Real
Play
Housewives or
Candyland.
some
Feels
shit.
like he needs to watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's what he needs
yeah,
to do.
exactly. He probably
Just
did.
go with her. It's fine.
I wonder.
Just climb
I
on
wonder
board
what
the
he
Black
thought of it.
Pearl.
He's like, those guys were cursed.
They were cursed.
They're all skeletons.
He
They shouldn't
come
have
on,
taken
get him
that
on the
gold.
skeletons. They
How
should
great
not
would
have.
it be if they announced like tomorrow Disney hires Park Chan-Wook for Pirates of the
Pirates of
Caribbean 6,
7.
and he's just like, I really want to make a movie that my daughter likes. I finally figured it out.
I'm really pushing here.
The whole gang is back. Will,
I need
Elizabeth.
her approval.
Tim and Shake is playing Jack Sparrow.
yeah, a lot
That'd be
of Bootstrap
good.
Bill.
yeah.
Bring back Bootstrap Bill. What happened to him? Did he die?
Yeah, he perished.
He did.
They,
But what does
they
that
all, they all
mean?
go.
He was
that
undead to
family
begin
story
with, right?
ended in number 3.
But doesn't he come back? Wasn't someone their kid?
Yeah. Orlando Bloom is his son.
No, but I'm saying,
yeah.
wasn't Elizabeth Swann and Will
Oh.
Turner's kid one of
Yes.
the boring boys in one of the
Yes,
later
that's correct,
sequels?
yes.
With Brandon Thwaites.
Wait,
or...
was he?
Yeah, I think so.
Jesus.
And then also Barbossa's daughter, which made me cry. I
Well,
will
that's
Right.
the twist in Dead Men Tell No Tales that
Yeah.
That was
Skins
Kyla
girl.
Scaladero.
Yeah.
Ka-
Skins
Kaya
girl.
Scodelario.
Skins girl.
Skins
But
girl,
then,
yes.
but then was that one Brandon Thwaites? Because the other one was Sam Claflin and a mermaid, right?
That one's
Yes,
that
that
one's
one
Thwaites.
is
That
Brandon
one's
Thwaites. Yes.
Okay.
Karen, you and I saw that film together. We saw Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge, or whatever the fuck,
Salazar's
together.
Yeah.
I cried. I
And
hated
you were
myself
in
for crying.
tears. Yes,
Yeah.
you were in tears.
When he
at
falls
the
away
end
and
of
goes,
that film.
treasure. I was like,
When fucking Jeffrey Rush fell off the big chain or whatever the hell
Yeah,
happened to
it was
that
oh my
goddamn
God.
movie that should have been sunk to the bottom of Davy
Yeah.
Jones' locker.
You were correct. Yeah.
Now that you bring it up, it has been a while since we've heard from Salazar. I feel like I haven't seen him in anything in years.
I've heard he's making phone calls and he's planning to enter the Republican primary
He
in
is.
2024. And his entire campaign is just "Hola, Jack Sparrow," and
That's
people are
great.
trying to talk him out of it. They're
Yeah.
trying
It's
to.
pretty good.
They're like,
He's also- it's a-
Salazar. People want to hear about healthcare, and he's like, Jack Sparrow. Where is he?
Jack Sparrow. Yeah.
Better platform than most of them.
You're
It's
not
true.
wrong.
That's
Yeah.
true. I'm with Salazar.
Disney's
Um,
backed themselves in this corner where they're like, fucked if they do bring back Jack Sparrow. They're fucked if they don't, right? Like they
Right.
got this, like, they're in
They
a
were
a
trying to do it with
perfect
Margot Robbie or whatever,
conundrum.
right?
Yes, but
yeah,
it's like
they were thinking about that.
a portion of the population is furious if you don't bring Depp back, and the
Yeah.
other half is furious
It's
if you
really
do.
lose-lose. Yeah.
Yes. So what if they just announce tomorrow, like, we've heard your cries. We are, in fact, making the next Salazar film. We're continuing
Now-
off the
Barbossa
Salazar
prequel.
story.
Oh no, that would still have Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking him up on the Pirates Wiki.
You're looking up Salazar?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I cannot remember. All right, look, he died apparently. His last words, Jack.
Yeah, but
Oh
what-
God,
seems
this
fair.
guy is so one track.
David, when you say these characters have died, aren't all of them undead to begin with? Isn't that one of the defining
that's a fair
things?
point. I don't know. It says death here. What do
I
you
also
want
do
from
think
me?
I'm conflating details about Salazar with the Rock Jungle Cruise mythos at this point.
Oh yeah,
because he's also
right.
immortal or
that
whatever.
was the
One of the guys turns into a bunch of bees, which was
yes,
pretty
that
good.
guy. That guy had some good points, though. I really thought he had some interesting things to say.
That is one of
How
those movies.
The reveal
Oh,
is
boy.
that The Rock was one of them, that he was a
Yes.
conquistador, but all of them have accents and he inexplicably doesn't.
Yeah. Also, all of them
he's a
have
master of disguise.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess
Sorry, go on.
so.
all of them have a gimmick too.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
fuck? Salazar
gimmicks are-
looks like a fucked up Shrek. Like a
Yeah,
Shrek
yeah.
crossed with Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Edward
Excuse
Scissors
me.
hands.
As we all know, Salazar looks like Drake in that 7-Up,
Thank you.
or was it Sprite commercial? Was it 7-Up or Sprite?
Or it's
Sprite.
like the Backstreet
Maybe-
Boys music video where they're
Maybe
all in
the
the Halloween
funniest thing
costumes.
I ever said on the podcast. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Salazar looks like all 5 Backstreet Boys
Yeah.
from the Larger Than Life video mushed
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
That was intentional. I mean,
Salazar,
that
not
was
to go back, but Salazar does feel like a Tim Robinson sketch where he shows up and Tim Robinson's like, "So what's your deal? What's your thing?"
Figure out what you do.
Yeah.
He's like Jack Sparrow. They're like, no, it can't just be that.
Trash
He
it, trash
turns
it, trash
into
it.
a skeleton. I get it. This guy is like a squid head. I get it.
What is your deal?
What is your deal, Salazar?
He's cracking. That's his
He's
deal.
cracking.
He's got the crack.
He is
curse.
cracking, it's true. But different from
okay.
Kraken,
Yes.
because they did
He
that.
is not Kraken. That's true.
He got beached.
um,
Sad.
Yeah, I just finished my big book about the boat, the wager.
I'm sorry. You just finished your big book about the boat?
Yes, David Grann's new book, The Wager.
Shit. Okay, I gotta
which
read
I'm
that.
sure will be
Love
a
David
film in 5 years. Yes.
Okay.
And it's about a big old boat that shipwrecked, and there was a mutiny, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff that happened.
Just got my copy of Killer Moon. I'm excited for that.
There you go.
To read that.
Yes. But half the book is just him being like, so here's what it was like to be on a boat back then.
Bad.
Yeah, bad. Really bad. No
Listen.
fun.
Eating this shit up.
I ate it up like
And
fucking
Salazar's in there?
tuna melt. And Salazar, of course, it turns
Okay.
out he did it. It's his fault. This carefully reported work of nonfiction. They're like chapter 8. He's like, anyway, it turns out it was all Salazar.
Unfortunately, Salazar did in fact get his revenge on all of us.
Unfortunately, Salazar returned.
And by extension, you,
Somehow.
the reader. He has foiled you yet again.
Oh, man.
No one
Okay,
outfoxes
Lady Vengeance.
Salazar. Lady
Yes.
Vengeance, yeah.
No relation to Salazar.
No.
So, a thing we have not really talked about is
Uh-huh.
that while we're learning about the past and we're seeing our protagonist in the present, she visits her daughter,
Yeah.
Jenny, who is now, whatever, a kid. I mean, she's not a teenager even, really. Has it been 13 years?
Yeah, she's like 13.
There's some amount of time.
Yeah.
She's maybe 13, right? And she is essentially Australian because she was
Yeah.
adopted. Is she going to Australia? That was the one thing. What's the
Yeah,
deal
she
there?
goes to
Yeah.
Australia to visit her.
Right, and sort of like, but then she just sort of collects her and brings her back
Well,
to Korea.
Jenny threatens to kill
and they're
herself
hanging
if
out.
she won't let her come with her.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have this sort of strange burgeoning relationship with Jenny, which I think,
Mhm.
again, this is sort of before the big hammer blow of the final reveal. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you're sort of like, well, maybe this is the person that will like bring her back from whatever world she's in, right? Maybe this is the sort of the surprise element of this plot that will change her perspective. But that's not
Yeah.
exactly how it works. Jenny is sort of crucial to her, like this aspect of her humanity that is mostly lost, right? But
Mhm.
like,
That's what I was
yeah,
going to say. I view
right.
her inclusion more as like there has to be some glimmer of light in this film. I mean,
Yeah.
A,
Right.
you're about to find out about such horribly monstrous things that have happened to
Yeah.
other children. But B, you want, like, he does want you to have some sympathy for Lady Vengeance, and he wants you to believe there's something in there worth surviving. I'm not even saying saving, right? Like there's a reason for her to even stay alive post vengeance. If she just feels like she's a vengeance golem, and once this mission is complete, that she's like done.
It's like the fuller idea of revenge, where the idea of revenge is like, what do I have to do to set things right, to equal the scales again? And it's not only I have to take care of this guy, but there's also this other part where I owe somebody as well, which is my daughter.
Yeah, and I think also like you have Old Boy, not a great father-daughter movie, right?
No.
And then Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance has them kidnapping the kid, him tricking his sister into thinking that it's a babysitting assignment. She commits suicide. The kid dies by accident. All this sort of stuff. In the same way that he's challenging himself to like, let me try to make one with a proper female protagonist who has narrative agency. It's also like, let me maybe make one where the child-parent relationship isn't the most fucked up aspect of the film. Let me try to make one where a kid survives and seems like they're maybe going to be somewhat okay, you know?
It also presents, I think, a certain amount of stakes, right? Where it's like if without Jenny, she doesn't really have anything to lose.
Right. Otherwise, she's just gone. She's beyond. I mean, it's a movie I love dearly that I have invoked now maybe in all of these Vengeance episodes, but You're Never Really Here, which is like similarly a movie about someone who's given themselves over to this thing so fully that they're just like dead inside, just like completely destroyed. And it's similarly like when he finds this girl and forms this relationship with her, for the first time there is like a thing that he actually feels he is responsible for that makes him want to stick around to some degree.
Yeah, it just makes the ending so. I'm saying it's also so many times, but really, I'm just piggybacking off of your point. It makes the ending so much sadder, where it's like this thing that you have been fantasizing about for 13 years. You've completed it now, but has it really fixed anything? Do you actually feel better? Like your life is still not in the shape that you necessarily want it to be in. You have to atone to this child for what her life has been because of these things that happened to you and that you were sort of complicit in.
Yeah, very well said.
Those poor Australians. They don't know anything about what's going on.
No, they seem like they don't ask enough questions.
No, they definitely didn't Google. Also,
no.
Maybe they could have just done some Googling on who this woman is.
Light Googling. Yeah.
Big ass news story.
It's all Lost vibes, though. You remember how in Lost, everyone was Australian. Because of the mechanics of, the flight left from Sydney, so everyone had to have been in Sydney for some reason.
Yes.
And so they would do the flashbacks where like Sawyer's like, I found the man I need to kill. He's Australian.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I miss Sawyer.
I miss Sawyer too. What's he up to? I guess he's
on some other TV show. I don't know.
Oh, Josh Holloway. Yeah, he's around.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Sawyer the character? What is he doing?
Yeah, David was
like
asking
what's the character doing? I guess he's in that
he's
big
dead,
church
right?
they all ended up in.
Yeah.
I guess they all died.
Yeah.
Who knows? Wow, actually, yeah, he did. Oh, he had a recurring role on Yellowstone. I was about to say,
good for him.
feels like he should do some Yellowstone. He's kind of got the look, and he's the age range. You know what I mean? Like no one on Yellowstone is young. You know, it's like it's the Wes Bentley, Josh Lucas.
Did they make him cut his hair for Yellowstone? Is it short or is it still like Sawyer long for Yellowstone?
Longer. It's down to his ankles.
Oh wow.
Let's see. No, let's see his hair. Yeah, it's long. It's
long.
It's
Okay,
Sawyer
good.
length. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
What year is the Yellowstone with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren?
1923? 1883?
It's no, you're right. It's 1923. 1883 is the other one with Sam Elliott
Okay.
and Tim McGraw.
I was
God, what a world!
incredible. I was doing my my very exciting part-time job where I go over to my grandmother's apartment and fix all her devices in exchange for babka.
Nice.
And
Bobka ain't bad.
Yeah.
she wanted to scale the mountain. She wanted to know if there was a way I could get her on Paramount Plus specifically because she wanted to watch that series. And so I got it queued up and I put it on her iPad. and started playing. And she looked at me and she was like, "This isn't Yellowstone." Whatever year it was, right? She was like, "This isn't 1893 or whatever, whichever year it is." And I was like, "It is." And she's like, "Absolutely not. This is something else. This is something else playing." And I was like, "It's a guy in the middle of the woods getting shot at by like a musket. What makes you think this couldn't be Yellowstone?"
Yeah.
I don't know. That's happening now. They're always up to something.
She wouldn't believe me until Helen Mirren showed up.
Wow.
Your grandma's a real pip.
Yeah, she is.
Has she seen this movie?
That's a good question. She does like Park Chan-Wook. She was very surprised to hear we were covering him. She still thinks this is a show where we interview directors.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Look, it's never too late to turn over a new leaf.
Just
Yeah.
pivot to that.
Explained it to her a number of times.
Is this my favorite of his?
This is my
No.
favorite of The Vengeance. Oh, you were questioning if it's your favorite of his movies, period?
It's up there. I'm a big thirst boy.
Yeah.
I'm thirsty.
Also, so nice to see Song Kang-ho in this movie also.
Yeah.
He pops up really just, I assume, kind of as a favor, right? Like, I assume that's just him being fun.
It's like
I
Playing
guess.
one
I mean,
of the assassins.
that's why I wanted to bring up the scene, Griffin, when you were talking about the daughter too, where it's like that's why this moment has agency, where you think it's possible that she loses her daughter, and the fact that
Right.
the point of like her remembering what the range on this gun is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It is very cool. The other assassin is also from JSA, right?
Yes.
Shin Ha-kyun
Yeah, both of them have been in his movies before. Yeah,
have been in multiple movies. Yes, he's the lead of Sympathy. It's
He's
sort
great.
of the lead. He's the deaf guy in Sympathy.
Is Song Kang-ho showing up in
From
this
Mr.
like
Vengeance.
the equivalent of fucking Ryan Reynolds showing up in everything? Like for us, it's fun, but if you're seeing this in South Korea in
I
2005,
don't
you're
think
like,
so.
"Oh,
I think
fucking
he was
again?"
still pretty beloved.
Okay.
Like I don't think he has ever crossed the Rubicon in that way.
Yeah, it feels like a fun wink for the audience and
It helps that he's
For
not
the- for
winking.
the super fans.
You know?
Sure.
no, they show up, they're scary assassins, and she fucking takes them out.
Yeah.
Karen, are you implying
Uh,
that sometimes when Ryan Reynolds shows up for an under 5 or even a non-speaking role in a big budget film starring one of his friends, that he is perhaps winking to the audience and in fact takes you out of the movie by his
What?
mere presence?
I would never dare say that.
No, because what if you want to work with Mr. Reynolds? I mean,
Yeah.
then he's so
Get me
funny.
some of that
And he's a
aviation gin,
WGA
baby.
member. Oh yeah, and he's got gin out the wazoo.
And like a phone company, right?
He does.
Mint Mobile.
He bought Mint
Soccer
Mobile,
team.
but then
Yeah,
they
that's
sold
right.
Mint
Soccer
Mobile. Didn't he sell Mint Mobile to a
Yeah,
different?
he's probably sold it for so much money. Whatever. He's a smart businessman. What
Like
do you
his
want
whole
from
fucking thing was like, don't sign up with one of those big phone carriers
Yeah.
like Sprint. Sign up for Mint Mobile. And then like 2 months ago, he was like, exciting news, Sprint is buying Mint Mobile.
Look, I've been with Sprint for a generation. I love Sprint. I'll never
Wow.
leave Sprint.
I hope you enjoy all your new cousins
Mint
from the
Mobile
Mint
friends,
Mobile
yeah.
side of the
my-
family. Yeah.
Minty phone.
Oh, we should also
okay,
shout out the Yuji Tae cameo, the guy from Old Boys
Please.
in this as well.
He is grown up.
Wonmo, yeah.
Wonmo,
and
right?
so
Yeah,
is
like he's
so is
there.
Mito from Old Boys. She's in here for 5 seconds also.
Ooh, really? Who is she?
She's like a TV announcer. Blink and you miss it.
Right. So okay. Again, it's sort of hard to go through the narrative of this movie because it is out of order. But okay, yes. We learn more and more about Mr. Bake. That's how you say his name, Karen.
It's more like
You
Peck,
know,
I guess.
Peck, who is a children's teacher at a preschool.
Mhm.
Essentially, that's what he's doing now. He's probably planning once again to do something terrible. He hires these thugs to kill Gyumja, but she kills them back. And then
She kills
when
him
she's
right
got
back.
him. She kills him right back, and then that's when she fucking nails his feet to the floor, right? I mean, that's when she's got him. And then that's when she figures it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the wildest reveal of what she has asked her prison friends to do, right? Is that she has asked someone to go be his wife.
Bad assignment. Yeah.
Is it the
Sucks.
friend that gets the kidney transplant? Is it that friend?
No, it's a different friend. The knee transplant or the kidney transplant is the girl who helps her make the gun. Her husband makes the gun for her.
Okay. Yep.
I wouldn't want a knee transplant. That sounds horrible. So she finds this orange marble, right? This sort of trophy. He collects these trophies, and even in the black and white version, the trophies retain their color throughout, which is this, very clever, very powerful effect. And she finds all these horrible tapes he made, and it's so bad, and I kind of had to fast forward and zone out for a while.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Park even, I think, admits like it's a little like he says there's stuff he took out. Like it was really like a frame by frame of like how much can I put in this movie without completely losing the audience.
Yeah.
Because he's like, obviously you need to convince the viewer of this man's like pure villainy and these like the horrible thing that he did. But it's impossible to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even by his standards, I think. Yes. I tried to avoid dwelling on the distress of the children, he said. Anyway, so he's very bad. Yes, go ahead, Griffin.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, it's. I think he shows you the exact amount of it he needs to.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he dwells on it too much. But as we're saying, like you do need to. Yeah, you do need to feel it viscerally.
And it's compounded by the parents' reactions.
Yes. It would be different if this movie was she chops his head off because he's a bad guy. But because the final act of this film is 40 whole minutes of the parents reacting, of the debate over what to do, over them killing him, and then the sort of like coda of them all together, like it's, it's more essential.
It needs to feel immediate for the audience. Right. You need to have lived through it in some way.
It's really breathtaking. Like there's no way to prepare for that kind of widening of scope as soon as you see the other charms that are on his phone. Like that's the horrible detail, right? Where he's kept these souvenirs from all of these kids on his cell phone. Like it's so brazen and so horrible. And as soon as you realize that, and as soon as these other people's revenge are brought into the equation, it kind of blows the movie open.
Yes. It makes it into the masterpiece it is, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting, elliptical, strange movie before then, and then you're just kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I have to say something unrelated to this right now.
Do it.
Is it about Salazar?
I'm so sorry. No, thank God. Not that. Not him.
God.
No.
I could not take that
Not
news
that
right
guy.
now.
Hello. Click.
Marty!
What's up?
Marty!
Who's this?
It's Doc Brown!
Yeah, how you doing, Doc Brown?
I can't find me.
We're not doing that your movies right now, bro.
You
Just
were
FYI.
in the past. I just came back from 2020.
What's going on?
I went back in the DeLorean. I listened to when you were doing the episode.
Okay, sure. Right.
David.
Yeah.
I mean, Marty.
Uh-huh.
I can't find myself.
You can't find yourself?
I've gone missing in time. I don't know how to find a doctor.
You're on the hunt for a doctor.
I'm on the hunt for Doc Brown.
You're looking for, it sounds like, a doctor who really gets you and listens to you and makes you feel super comfortable. Yourself.
Yes.
And after weeks of searching, it takes you, it can take you weeks of searching to find the one.
I don't have that time, even with a time machine.
Look, what you got to do is head over to ZocDoc, find and book the doctor who is right for you and takes your insurance. And I'm assuming that is yourself.
It's me in a different time period.
ZocDoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, treat almost any condition that you're searching for, or are you, in your case.
Doctors, wildly different doctors, like Doc Brown in 1955, Doc Brown in 1985, or Doc Brown in 2015.
Exactly. These doctors all have verified reviews from actual real patients, not bots. The average wait time to see a doctor booked on ZocDoc is just between 24 and 48 hours. That's it. You can even score same-day appointments. Once you find the doctor you want, you book them immediately with just a few app taps. No more waiting awkwardly on hold with a receptionist.
Marty!
Okay.
I have to warn you.
Yes?
Your kids.
What about them?
In the future.
Uh-huh.
They become doctors.
Okay, well, that sounds like a great occupation. Listen, I use this. You should too. Go to ZocDoc.com/check and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/check, ZocDoc.com/check. So you're on there somewhere.
Doc Brown.
We have Ben. Ben has his nicknames on this show. We
Yes.
talked about it on the opening episode of this miniseries.
Mhm.
And for the George Miller series, we called him Haas Pig in the City or something like that, right? Sure. Right? Normal.
Uh-huh.
Someone just pointed out, I just saw this.
Or Haas Pig
That,
is the kitty was the other one, but go on.
Wow.
No, this is it. Ben Pig is his kitty.
Oh,
That
yeah.
should be the name.
I like
Well, 'cause
Haas Pig
that's
in the
your-
City
your-
better.
But Pig is his kitty. You don't understand, Karen. His cat is literally called Pig.
Yeah.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Aw,
that's the
okay.
joke.
No.
Okay.
Ben Pig is his kitty.
Okay, then fine.
'Cause
That's
it's
what
like
it
Babe.
is.
Anyway,
All right. We'll adjust.
back to this horrible thing.
Chisel it in stone. Yeah.
Back to the gathering of the parents and relatives of the missing children who watch tapes of screaming children and decide to murder him together.
No, the broadening of
and
scope,
yes.
you're saying, Karen, that is the thing that's so surprising about it, since we've been like on such a single-minded quest from one person to then make it so immediate to so many characters who you're
Yeah.
being introduced to this late in the film, where the stakes are this high.
Right. We don't know these people. Right.
No.
They're brand new to the film. Yeah.
No, but it's like if you introduce us to characters under these circumstances, we're immediately going to feel for all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but it's still pretty bold to bring
is.
in an entire ensemble, like
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
whole, new cast.
Right. The
And
last
they
act
do
of
have
this
their
movie
idiosyncrasies.
becomes like women talking suddenly.
It is useful though that each of these family members has a very distinct personality. Like he's immediately dialed in on who every single one of these people are.
Yeah.
Are these actors well known in any way? Like, are these, or is it just sort of, the usual kind of,
Definitely
assemblage
not
of
to the
character
point-
actors?
Definitely not to the point of like Song Gang-ho popping up. Like some of them you'll have seen a lot. Like one of the women, for instance, is like one of the old ladies in Train to Busan. If you remember, there's like a pair of
Okay.
sisters who are old ladies.
Sure.
So some of these are like pretty well known, kind of more character actors. Some of them are a little lesser known, but none of them are like, ooh, holy shit, like that person's in
Right.
this movie, I would say.
It's not like we're bringing in, 12 Angry Men. We're bringing in just heavy hitters. So you can keep these people, whatever, they make an immediate impact. But they are all, like you say, Karen, distinct.
Yeah, if you're watching K-dramas, you've probably seen them before. Yeah.
Well, sure. Look, I'm trying to fucking complete Zelda, finish Resident Evil 4.
Wow.
Got 2 jobs
Jump
to
like
do.
a witch. Put it on while you're
God damn
watching.
it.
While you're
I don't
playing
know if I
Zelda.
could delve into an entire country's television culture on top of everything else. I'll try.
Legally now you have to watch all of Daejangum. A very long.
Fine. I
K-drama.
will. Fine. I'll do it.
It's okay. I haven't watched it either, but I know I think my mom really liked it. Anyway,
Well, I've met your mother,
Mhm.
a lovely woman.
yes, she's
We hung
terrific.
out, your mom and I.
Yeah.
How'd you guys
we
meet?
did not talk about K-dramas. I met her at this event that Karen Han was doing at Town Hall.
Yeah.
Be weird if I was like,
Around.
At a mixer.
took a swim class together. I don't know. Yeah.
PTA meeting.
Yeah.
I was doing some water aerobics. Yeah. Cool lady.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should touch on? There's a lot
Well,
in this movie,
certainly-
obviously. Yeah.
We should touch briefly on the post murder stuff, but yes, is there
Yeah.
anything else about the group murder? It is like it's comical at moments in that kind of way that he can bring off, where you do see the very sort of very dark, horrible humor in these little moments.
It's like the surrealness that you were talking about, I think. Like in the whole
Right.
discussion of where they're like do we kill him all together or separately? Then how are we going to divide the groups to
absurdity
go
of this.
in? And then
Right.
like who's going to go first? Let's draw numbers. And the fact that that's all being piped into the room that he's sitting in so he can hear them talking about it. It's incredible.
But like it's like their mission is so pure. You're like, yes, absolutely, have your vengeance. But then it does take them just sort of talking down and be like, okay, so I'll chop him a bit, and then I won't chop him too much.
And even
But
like
you can chop him
the second to
some.
last group going in where she's like, Dad, like you have to be careful because
She's
there's
like,
a
"Don't
person
kill him."
after us. Yeah. Like you have to leave
Don't be
something for
selfish.
them. Yeah.
For how many, like what we were talking about, like big scenes he leaves out or only shows you a fragment of, that's the exact kind of scene most filmmakers would skip, right? Like they make the decision and then the next thing you see is someone walking in with an axe or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead it's like, it speaks so much to his priorities that it's like, well, so wait, how do we establish a pecking order here?
And even the fact that Kumja is not the person who gets to kill him. Like when she finally uses her gun on him, he's already dead. Like she effectively gives over her claim on this vengeance in a certain way to these other people who are kind of more directly affected by the stuff that he did and indirectly affected by what she kind of failed to do by going to prison for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Also, the scene or the bit where the police detective is there and he's like, "Don't stab him like this because then your hand might slip." And he'll kind of like, instead, you should hold a knife like this or stab him like this. It's so the details are
he's
so
fucking
good.
helping out.
Yeah.
I love that he's on board too, that he's like, you're right, this is the best way to go about it. I'm not going to fucking help you.
It's probably like a splinter in his mind too. He's like, I knew something was wrong to begin with when I was putting this woman in jail and I didn't do anything about it, or I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So they take a group photo for the memories, obviously, and also so that they cannot implicate each other. They bury the corpse. They gather at the bakery and have this sort of like funereal meeting, especially in the black and white version. It really does feel like the fucking end of Schindler's List or whatever. Like they're gathering to light a candle. You know what I mean? Like it's this like very mournful moment. And then there's this like, you know, surreal meeting with the murdered child who then grows to, you know, the age he would be if he lived, right? Like this very moving moment. I don't know. Like the first time I saw this movie, my freaking jaw was on the floor at all this stuff. I remember.
Yeah, it's an incredible ending, and it's weirdly the only one of this trilogy that has an ending that you could even vaguely classify as sort of a hopeful, uplifting. It just at least feels like there's some sense of inner peace, perhaps.
And even that's generous because like the scene that Kumja shares with the adult Wonmo, it is not as though he's forgiving her.
Yes, I guess inner peace only in relation to the other two movies where everyone's dead and everyone is sort of destroyed internally, or the second one in which a guy basically chooses like, I'm just going to keep on doing a fucking horrible thing and try to make myself forget it.
Yeah.
But she does have Jenny, and she does tell her to live purely like tofu. And Jenny is there as this, somewhat hopeful character in a way, right?
And
like,
the reveal that she's been the narrator this whole time.
Right. Yes.
And she's sort of untouched by all these horrible things that have happened, almost shockingly in a way. Like that she did just get given up for adoption, that this guy did actually not kill her, right? Like if you think it through, like but I guess it's, you know, because of the public nature of everything.
Also, brief sidebar, the way that Pak uses subtitles in the discussions between Kumja and Jenny is so interesting. Like when you watch the Korean dialogue pop up on screen as Jenny's speaking in English, it populates in, I guess, English word order and leaves spaces in the middle for where, because Korean grammar is so different, like it does that. And then even the scene where they're going like, no, yes, like you can't, I can, you can't. Like you see just the one word kind of blinking in and out because they're saying sort of like at least some of that vocabulary is repeated. It's just really, it's like, it's not super pivotal to what's going on, but it's a very interesting detail in the movie.
It is. It's. I was wondering about that because even just to look at it, it just presents itself differently than like subtitles do for a Western movie. The way it kind of comes out word by word.
Yeah.
And even because of the language here between her and Jenny, there's the interesting sort of thing they do with the sentences getting repeated back and forth in English and Korean.
With Peck as the translator. It's so,
this film was a huge hit, which is somewhat surprising. But I guess at this point, because Sympathy for Vengeance did not do very well, but I guess at this point, Old Boy is such a smash that his name alone is sort of enough to carry anything, right? It's just a guy. I know Joint Security Area was a gigantic hit, obviously.
Yeah. Also, again, she's incredibly famous,
and she's very famous. It made $23 million at the Korean box office, which is close to what JSA made, and is just true blockbuster status. And then, of course, Charlize Theron was going to do a remake.
Right, I forgot
directed
about
by
that.
William Monahan.
I feel like I've still heard recently that talks are like still sort of happening about it, and I really hope that doesn't happen.
I cannot imagine a world where an American adaptation of this movie is necessary or would be very good. Obviously, you never know, but it just does not feel doable by Hollywood.
No. So many details of the ending. Like you can already sort of guess like what a Hollywood adaptation of this would do differently. Not to say that this is what the adaptation would do, but she'll get the final blow on the guy. Like they'll figure everything out and everything will be happy. Like there's so many sad half choices made in this version of the movie, not clear resolutions that it feels like Hollywood execs would be like, no, we can't have that. We can't do that.
Right. This film is unsatisfying, as it should. Right. It is very difficult to walk out of this being like, fuck yeah. Lady Vengeance got hers.
And also the fact alone, I love Charlize Theron, but I don't think she's the right choice for this.
No.
Again, it's sort of the same as the anecdote I was telling you at the beginning, where coming out with it on this with a strong read and her being like, I'm a badass and I'm strong is it takes away from the character so much.
The American version of this that shouldn't exist should be Rooney Mara or someone. That's who you need.
Someone delicate or
Karen's shaking her head. No, I'm not saying that's the right person, but I'm saying don't pick someone who is a proven action star. Don't pick someone who is a badass.
I will say this was 2009, and obviously it's obvious that Charlize sort of hit on a sort of new persona for herself, in the 2010s, right? And this is probably one of the many projects she was looking at where she was like, what can be what eventually is my Mad Max Fury Road or whatever, this is in 2009 when she's lost, Charlize Theron in she's in The Burning Plane and The Road and stuff.
But again, I have heard stuff about this more recently.
Right. It's still bubbling around, although I don't know. There doesn't seem to be much. Danny Boyle said he was approached to do it and was not that interested.
That's why it came up somewhat recently, right? He was talking about that in interviews.
Right. But he just seemed aware of I don't know that you could do that.
He's right.
Way that
He's
would,
right.
Would pop,
also,
right?
I
it's
feel
it's been done.
Perhaps this is naivete on my part, but we talked about this in the Old Boy episode, but how there was such a quest to remake Old Boy for so long before they end up making this remake that no one gives a shit about, that bombs really hard, that even Spike Lee semi-disowns. It does feel like you don't hear in the same way when an international movie hits big, the immediate Hollywood feeding frenzy for remake rights. It does feel like there's a bit of post Parasite, post Squid Game. Maybe people are not as put off by subtitles. Maybe these things do kind of cross over once they're on streaming services. Maybe we don't need to do the Americanized version of this thing unless there's a very specific take.
I hope so, but we are getting the HBO Parasite series. So.
But is that still
No,
happening?
we're
and
not.
also the Train to
That's not
Busan
happening.
remake, maybe.
But is that still happening
I don't
too?
think that's
the
happening
thing.
either, right?
I'm like,
All these
these are-
ideas get floated, and then no one
Right.
actually fucking does it because they realize it's a bad idea.
And even the Parasite one, it just every time I came up in
Train
interviews,
to New York.
he was sort
That's
of
what it's
like,
called.
I'm trying to come up with something different enough that justifies making a Parasite TV show. And I'm like, well, then maybe don't do it. You know, but he
But it's-
even knew, like, I can't just remake the movie with an American family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not happening. That thing's
No,
not happening.
I don't think. I think that stuff's kind of ending. I don't know.
Well, who knows? I mean,
Who
you
knows?
never know. I think I'm going to remake Lady Vengeance, though, with Charlize Theron. I'm going to direct it. I'll do a
Congrats.
good job. Thanks. Now, Griffin,
Mhm.
for the box office game, we had been doing the sort of limited releases of these films in America. Boring.
Hunk shoe.
But the wonderfully named Twitter user Golbatasaurus.
Uh-huh.
Shout out Golbat, a great Pokemon.
Yeah.
Classic. Has translated Korean box office data for me.
Yeoman's work.
He links me to the original site, which is in the Korean language.
Mm-hmm.
But he has done the work of summarizing the opening weekends of all of these movies in Korea. So I think we should do
Yeah.
that for the box office game.
Sure. Yes, let's do it.
One reason I think we should do it is mostly American movies.
Good.
Oh, interesting.
Let's also say we've recorded this series very out of order because of guest availability.
Yes.
So this is the episode when we have suddenly gotten access to the Korean box office, but you might hear some of the future episodes to come where we don't have access to it.
We will, but we'll definitely do this for Handmaiden and Decisional Leave.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it for Thirst or Cyborg. Maybe we'll just do it later. I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know.
Catch up.
Yeah.
But Lady Vengeance came out in Korea
Okay.
in July 2005. I think it came out in America maybe about a year later. But this was a summer 2005 film in Korea.
Okay.
Yes, because then it played Venice, it played the New York Film Festival, and blah blah blah. It opened number one. Okay, selling 1.1 million tickets.
Okay.
I have ticket data for you here. I don't have financial data.
I'll take it.
I'll take it, if you will.
I'll take the ticket.
Yeah, you'll take the ticket.
Yeah.
Number two at the box office is an American 2005 sci-fi blockbuster.
It's an American 2005 sci-fi blockbuster. Are we looking at like a day and date release here? Was this also a big summer release, or is this coming out later in Korea?
Day and date. This is coming out maybe a week later in Korea, tops. This is a July 2005
War of the Worlds?
big blockbuster movie. It's not War of the Worlds. It was sort of a flop. Kind of a flop, this film. Despite a big name director, not a beloved director exactly, but a big name
Is it The
director.
Island?
It's Michael Bay's The Island.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
Huh.
Have you seen it, Karen?
No. I
Wow.
know of it. It's the Ewan McGregor Scarlett Johansson
Correct.
movie?
You're not wrong.
I've not seen it.
And they live on an island that is
Okay.
sponsored by Dasani.
Mhm.
And
Does not make you
stealing
old.
Their organs doesn't make you old.
Okay.
The island. One day we'll do it on this podcast, Griffin.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
What
A
do you think-
promise.
what do
A
you think of The
solemn
Island?
promise. We
Oh,
swear.
for a Bay miniseries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain and gain, guys. Call me.
Okay. You sure you don't want Transformers The Last Night?
I'll think about it.
You might have fun with it.
You want to talk Cogman? Cogman feels like a Karen's
Remember
boy.
Cogman?
Cogman
Yeah,
feels like a
Cogman's
Karen's
cool.
boy.
Have you seen Transformers The Last Night? Are you aware that the butler from Downton Abbey voices a robot butler called Cogman?
I've been told about it. I'm aware of it,
Oh,
but I've
but
not
you
seen it.
haven't met Cogman.
No, I have not.
Okay, well,
He
I
sings
think
opera.
you'd be quite
Pretty
charmed.
cool.
He slaps
I do
himself in
like
the
that.
head with fish.
Oh, wow. Really?
Number 3
Yeah.
at the box office. He
Huh.
does. Yes. No, it's true. Is an animated film, and Song Kang-ho,
Mhm.
as I mentioned on a previous or maybe future episode,
Yep. Uh-huh.
voices the lead character of this film in
Is
Korea,
this
in the Korean
the
dub.
first Madagascar?
Madagascar.
Okay, so it's being released about a year
Sucking Ho
later.
is the lion. He's
He's
the Ben Stiller.
Alex the lion. Yeah.
Isn't that fun to think about?
Yeah.
Wait, who else is in the Korean dub? I have to
I
look
don't
right now.
know. I don't know, but I
yeah,
can
pull it up,
probably
Karen.
find
Voice
it.
cast Madagascar. International dubbing wiki. Yes. Korean.
Lord knows. There's an international dubbing wiki.
Yeah, I mean, good. Thank you for your work.
Like who's the Korean Bernie Mac? That's what I want to know.
That's
All right,
a
so
really
Bernie
good
Mac's
question. I'm looking
character
right
is,
now.
of course, called. Wait, Bernie Mac's not in Madagascar.
Oh fuck, he's in Madagascar too.
This is terrible. But who's the Korean David Schwimmer?
Great
The
question.
answer, of course, is someone called Hong Jin-ug.
Okay.
Not someone I know. Number 4 at the box office is a film that, Griff, you and I were recently talking about. Somewhat of a forgotten action programmer.
Mhm.
Also day and date, late
Okay.
July 2005.
You and I were talking
Sort of
about it recently.
3 new stars.
3 new stars. You and I were talking about it recently.
Yes. We were joking about the career of one of these stars with one of our famous friends.
One of our famous friends was joking about the career of one of these. Wait, you said it's an action programmer?
Yeah, it's an action film. It's got a little sci-fi twist to it.
It's got a little bit of a sci-fi twist. July 2005.
I feel like I have to watch the Korean dub of Madagascar now.
New
You have
stars.
to right now, immediately.
Okay. Okay.
What distributor is this?
It's from the good people at Sony Pictures. That is Columbia.
Sony Pictures. It's a Columbia release, 2005. Sci-fi, 3 new stars. Are they coming from TV or are they really just fresh off the bus? These
Oh,
stars?
no, their movies start. No. They've been in stuff, but I feel like it's sort of like, why have one A-lister when you could have, 3 B to C listers? One of them was definitely in a TV show. One of them had won an Oscar, before.
Oh, it's
he
stealth.
shot
It's
this.
stealth. It's stealth. It's stealth. It's stealth. It's stealth.
The film is Rob Cohen's Stealth.
The film is Rob
Stealth.
Cohen's Stealth. We were saying it's about time you and I watch Stealth. That it's a glaring
Josh
hole
Lucas,
in our
Jessica
film knowledge.
Biel,
Yes.
Jamie Foxx.
Right. And Jamie
in
Foxx
Stealth.
wins the Oscar after filming Stealth, but he dies first in the movie, but the
I
marketing
believe he
campaign
does.
sort of put him front and center after he had become such a big star.
Correct. Number
Stealth.
5 at the box office. It's another animated film. We just talked about it on another fucking episode.
We're just
I
talking
hate
about
talking
another
about this
fucking
movie.
episode. You hate
I
talking
don't
about this
talk about
movie.
this. No,
Robots?
I don't. Robots.
It
You
looks
nailed
good. It's a good looking film. Karen, have you seen Robots?
No.
Amazing
Another Ewan
production
McGregor.
design.
I know the character designs. I have not watched the movie.
Amazing designs. Terrible movie.
That's not surprising to me.
Yeah, as William Joyce. You could just tell they written by David Lindsay Abaire. David's hating that I'm talking about all of this again. There must have been
David Lindsay Abaire just won a
You
Tony.
could tell there was something good in it at some point.
That's a shame. That's like the
Yeah.
worst. That's like the worst feeling when you're watching a movie. You're like,
But
oh,
it's
this could have
just
been
like
good.
needle drop every 15 seconds.
Wow.
Every single speaking role is like inexplicably like, why is it Jay Leno playing a fire hydrant for one line? It sucks.
Look, I want to tell you that the other films at the box office, there are 3 other American films. There's War of the Worlds, as you guessed previously. There's Boogeyman. That was with, obviously, there's a new Boogeyman film, but
Right.
that was with
Barry Watson.
Barry Watson. There you go. Wasn't Tom Welling. Tom Welling's in another one of them.
He was
Okay.
in the Fog remake.
There you go. And also Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But there are 2 Korean films. One is called Heaven's Soldiers. Appears to be a initially appears you look at the poster and you're like, oh, this is a period action movie. There's a guy with a sword. But then you look behind him and there's a guy in a World War II soldier's outfit, and you look behind him and there's a guy with like a futuristic weapon. So I think it's like a time travel action movie. Sounds kind of cool.
Cool.
Okay.
The other film, Korean film, is called Voice. which is about a singer. It looks like a horror movie. The fourth installment in the Whispering Corridors supernatural
Fourth installment. Wow.
Film series about teenagers having spooky stuff happen to them.
Okay. Sounds right.
And it does.
That sounds cool.
It does star Kim Uk-bin, who is in Thirst. Later. So that's cool. Very fun to do the Korean box office. The American box office was fine, but did we really need to talk about the debut of Runaway Vacation again, Griffin? Did we?
RV, baby.
Yeah, 6-inch summer or whatever it is.
6-inch summer. Karen, I in my mind's eye, I was so confident this was going to be your 5 Timers Club induction, but this is only your 4th proper appearance on the podcast, which is wild. They've basically all been paced exactly 2 years apart, which isn't saying you need to wait 2 years until you come back on. But I feel like
no one's waiting. Come on,
no one's waiting.
We're
but
doing our best.
Our
Programming this show is hard.
Listeners will often find like, oh, what is the weird pattern to the movies we have? This guest always covers movies like this or whatever. And then someone like Esther will at a certain point be like, I'm breaking the pattern. I don't want you to keep making me do movies like this. I want to do this. Your 4 films are...
They've all been pretty different.
The Weight of Water.
Yeah.
Tim Burton Dumbo.
Yeah.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Good
Lady
movie.
Vengeance. That's...
But
at this point, no idea. I mean, you're calling Pain and Gain. But with Last Night as a spoiler.
Yes. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Mm.
Is that the one that has Merlin also?
Correct. Stanley
Okay.
Tucci plays Merlin.
But then but Age of Extinction's the one with the dinosaurs.
Yes.
Doesn't
Okay,
this new one... Oh, but this new one is not Michael Bay.
No,
But it
this
has...
is
The new one is
it
not
has
Michael
Dino's
Stephen
Baby.
Caple Jr. This one has the Maximals.
It has the beast.
The animal... Rise of the Beasts.
Right, but
Right?
it doesn't have Dinobots.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yes. Stanley Tucci is in 2 separate Transformers movies as different characters. The first time he plays a silly guy with glasses.
He
who's
just liked it so much.
Loved it.
The second time he plays Merlin. I think there is something fun about making those Michael Bay movies if
Okay.
you have the right attitude.
All those
right? It's
character
just sort of
actors
it's
love
crazy to see
doing them.
Yeah.
There's that wild thing of just like people identifying like, oh, Michael Bay clearly loves Coen Brothers movies because he just grabs all of their fucking supporting players
Yeah.
and puts them in these functionary roles.
Look,
but
that's what I would do if I had the power to do it.
Absolutely. They all seem to have a good time.
Fuck.
Oh, are
What's
you okay?
happened,
What?
Ben?
Oh, sorry. My cat just, she sometimes gets my attention by putting her nail into my side. She really
Oh,
scared the shit
no.
out of me.
Cats are so insane.
Ow.
I'm going to say that is the signal for us to wrap this up.
Ben Pig is the kitty.
It is 11:20 p.m.
Karen,
I'm
is there
waking up.
anything you want to plug?
Well,
Karen,
you guys
what's
mentioned
up?
my book. It is out now, so if you are interested in it, you can go get it. It is out in anywhere you can get books, probably.
We have a
Bong Joon-ho
copy
Dissident Cinema.
Yeah.
proudly on
It's got-
display at the Blank Check headquarters.
Oh,
And
thank
it
you.
and it has an introduction, right, from friend
yes,
of the show,
from sweet,
David Lowery.
sweet, kind David Lowery. A very lovely introduction and interviews with Tilda Swinton, Cho Shik, a bunch of other people. Their stuff is really cool. You don't even have to read what I wrote. Just read what the cool things they have to say about working with Bong.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me on. I mean, I hope it's not 2 years again before I see you, but
No.
No, I'm saying let's break the pattern.
Yeah, fuck that.
If
Okay,
anything,
There's
that's
no pattern.
if anything that
I don't
means
do anything.
guess we got to
Has
do
a
Michael
pattern.
Bay next. Guess
No.
Michael Bay's
Oh,
top of
well.
the pile now.
I mean, I kind of do want to do him, but I don't know. I feel like
He's
also
wild.
he needs to. What's his last movie?
Let's-
Ambulance.
Ambulance,
Well,
which
that
you
fucked
love.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Los
movie.
Angeles.
Let's
Yes,
sit on the
Ambulance.
let's sit
Yeah.
on the dock of the bay.
Aw.
It's kind of a lot of movies at this point.
Yeah,
Damn.
all the more
Baywatch
reason to do him
Cat.
sooner rather than later.
He does have a lot. It's true.
He does have a lot. And this is a promise to you. We'll get to Michael Bay eventually.
Great.
Look, you don't have to promise me that.
No, I'm promising you that.
You'll come on
Okay,
the show
thank you.
again soon, Karen. We love you.
Yeah.
I love you guys so
You're the
much.
best,
I hope
Karen.
I see you sooner than that. Yes.
Oh yeah, I know.
Thank you for being here, and thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media and helping to
I love you,
produce the
Marie.
show. Marie is also the best. Leigh Montgomery, the Great American Novel, for our theme song. He is also the best. Joe Bone and Pat Reynolds for artwork. They are also the best. AJ McKee and Alex Barron for editing. They are also the best. I'm just too deep in on this now. If I leave anyone off,
like
it
a
makes them feel
pattern.
like they suck. Did I mention everybody? JJ Birch for our research, who is also the best. But don't get cocky about it, JJ. Don't let
he's
this go to
pretty
your head. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including our Patreon, Blank Check special features, where we do franchise commentaries. As we said, we're swimming across some oceans right now, some heist capers. And we're doing Little Drummer Girl over there as well.
Fuck yeah.
Which I'm excited to talk about. Tune in next week for...
Next week, of course, on this podcast, we will be discussing the film Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Oh,
what?
Oh my god.
Right. So we got a 2-week break from Director Park as we cover 2 new releases on the docket. Mission
I'm seeing
Impossible.
it twice opening week already.
I've already
Fuck yeah.
have plans to see it twice in the
Yeah.
span of 1 week. Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then the following week will be Oppenheimer, and then we're back with Thirst, correct? Or no,
I'm a
Cyborg.
cyborg, and then Thirst,
Yes.
and then Stoker, and then The Handmaid, and then Decision to Leave, and then I almost said the next miniseries. You tried to get me, but I didn't do it.
Get me?
Yeah. You don't want
I'm
anyone...
a little punch drunk.
Yes.
Oh,
Not only did I
see.
wake up at 6 today, but I went to the beach, so I'm all sun kissed as well. I'm all like,
God, this is this time of year where David just complains all the time about how much he is
Goes to the
beach
beach.
life is getting
Yeah.
to him.
It's Juneteenth, the day
It's
off.
also true. One of the last times I saw you was during the summer. I visited during the summer, and you were like, "Yeah, I just came from
and
the
I
beach.
had just
Crazy."
been to the beach.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
basically David's
Yeah.
version of the guy who just constantly apologizes that he's still on island time. Is David takes his day trips to the beach and then goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just a little burned out from the beach."
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
now I got to go to sleep.
It's a beautiful
and
life. Thank
so
you guys
does
for
everyone
recording
else
so late.
listening.
Oh, of course.
Of course. It's
and-
a joy to do it, Karen.
And as always,
Yes, it was a joy. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, it was.
and as always, I offer a very sincere apology to our listeners and to David for getting his hopes up. Mint Mobile was in fact purchased by T-Mobile.
Oh,
David, you will not
damn.
be able to welcome them into your Sprint family.
Well,
Shame.
unfortunately, they also own Sprint, so I basically am.